Oof, what a powerful new song. Hey guys, welcome back to The Social Wildlife. I'm Josh Townsend. What is it that makes a high-value man or woman? Should women approach men? Why do we really get angry or jealous? How long do we wait before dating again when a relationship ends? How do you know when you love someone? How long should you wait before sleeping with someone? What is true intimacy built on? Does it fade? Can we be friends with the opposite sex? In this episode, I'm going to talk about what it's like to be a guy. This is my perspective, and as you'll hear, my guest's perspective as well. I've known Raf for a long time. We've been friends for about 11 years. And on this episode, we're going to talk about relationships, triggers, baggage that we carry into the new relationships, expectations, making comparisons, being vulnerable, and the importance of financial success, along with identifying and taking opportunities. I mean, these are some of the topics we'll talk about, and they all fall under that category of, I guess, what it has been like to be a guy so far in my life. If you do like this episode, make sure you subscribe, leave me a rating on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. And again, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoy. So today's episode, we are talking about what it's like to be a guy. The questions that are here are basically, we're just going to go through and look at different scenarios and some of the situations men face that are specific to men. And we're just going to chat about them. Obviously, our experience is limited to our experiences, and this isn't the same for everyone. But we've also seen our mates and the things that they've had to go through. And yeah, it's a general chat about that kind of stuff. Welcome on the show, Raf. Raf and I have been friends for like 11 years.
Too long.
I think it is.
Yeah.
2011. I think when I met you, it was when we were training at Anytime Fitness Cashmere, and I met Kane. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think I met you properly at his place. Up there.
Yeah.
Up when,
I think we've known about each other though.
Yeah. I'll start with some initial questions for you, Raf. So what do you do for work?
I'm a personal trainer.
Yep.
Personal trainer at the gallery gym.
Oh, cool. Yep, I know that gym. Yeah. And how's that going? Good?
Yeah, good, man.
Yep.
Been there maybe two months now.
Yep.
Picking up slowly.
Cool. Yeah, I see a lot of your posts online and that. It looks like you're pretty busy.
100%.
Like consistent.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm loving it.
Oh, that's really good. Okay, so what's a common myth about your job or your field of expertise?
Probably that we all sleep with our clients.
Right.
And we're all potential man-horse.
Right, and that's not true for everyone?
It's definitely not true. Not for me, at least. No.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What does your morning routine look like?
Morning routine, wake up, shower, breakfast.
Yep.
Clients, and training.
Cool.
That's generally my,
Do you separate your training with your clients?
I do, yeah. So I try and put a couple clients after I breakfast, and then I set aside time for me to train.
Yep.
And then I'll just either be at the gym till afternoon and then have a little break and then back in the evening.
Cool. Oh, that's good. Yeah, it sounds like a good routine.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Okay, so where were you raised and what kind of upbringing did you have?
So I was born in Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah.
And I was raised by my mum and my dad till I was 5.
Cool.
Then they split up. And mum brought us here to Christchurch.
Right.
And then it was just mum and I till I was about 8.
Yep.
And then mum married to my stepdad now. And yeah, growing up was pretty easy. I was an only child.
Right.
So I never went without.
Oh, you're cool.
So I guess I always had that loving side from my mum, but not necessarily the discipline.
Right.
So I got away with a lot.
Yeah, I was the same with my mum.
Yeah, exactly. So I was very good at getting my own way.
Yep.
With my mum.
Yep.
But yeah, growing up. Yeah, 100%. I know now. I know now.
Yeah.
But yeah, never went without. Never really, like I said, didn't really get that discipline though. My stepdad wanted to, but our mum didn't really let him.
No, and I think I'd be the same. I'd find it really hard. It's hard because we're men, obviously, and we're on that side of it. But I would find it really hard to with my ex, I found it hard to, when she had input around discipline, I was kind of like, this isn't your child, like,
100%.
And what she thought was important wasn't necessarily,
that's so
there's
right.
always going to be that issue.
Yeah. But I mean, looking back, I've said to my mum, like, I wish you had have let him, because I was a little arsehole.
It's tough though, like, at that age, you're well aware that's not your dad, and it's hard. There'd always be that fight back as a male. You'd be like, I'm not letting this cunt fucking
100%.
tell me what to do.
100%.
Like, even if you respect him.
Yeah. And I think when I was younger, I was more fearful, so I was always polite to him. And then as I was older, it was more like at school and stuff. Like even teachers. I would be like, I had a real bad time with like men telling me what to do. I didn't like being told what to do by anyone. But I would always just, I would always listen to my mum for the most part. But then anyone else, nah, I didn't. But then also I didn't have, like, I don't really remember my dad, so I don't really know what it's like to have that father figure.
Do you have a relationship with him now?
Sort of. Like, we talk every now and then. He might wish me happy birthday. Ask me how my daughter is. Stuff like that. But when I went back a few years, maybe it was 3 or 4 years ago, we caught up, and that was the first time I'd ever like really met him properly
as an adult.
I never asked the hard questions. No, it was more of just like a catch up. We just sort of sat down and had a chat, talked about sport and whatnot.
I think that's normal. Like, it wouldn't come naturally to anyone to be asking the hard questions in the first time. You know what I mean? Like, you've always got that opportunity down the track if you wanted to.
I thought about it, and like, I remember, I think I got back from Wellington the other week, and I was talking with my mum. And I got really upset because we were talking about it, and then I was thinking about it, and I was like, why didn't I ask? Why wasn't he there? And then we're eating breakfast, and I was like bawling my eyes out. My mum's bawling her eyes out, and I was just like, why didn't I ask him that? And then it sort of hit me, I'm like, man, why? Like, why didn't he try? Because, with my daughter, I'm trying. I want to be in her life. I don't want to be like how he was type thing, I find like what I've found out as I've got older anyway about myself is that your parents model what you do or don't want to be like, and often we get to the age they were when they had us, and you're like I was like with my dad anyway. I was like thinking for a long time, I was like, fuck, he should have done this and he should have done that and he should have done that, and then I realized, he's only human. He did his best at that time. 100%,
and I don't know what he was going through. He was probably going through some heavy shit.
Exactly.
For his own mental health, and you're just like, okay, well, maybe it's my job to reach out or ask these questions now and see. And my relationship with my dad's much better now than it was. But there's always that option. You've always got that.
And it's never like I was never angry at him.
No,
it was just, I guess now that I'm older, it's just like, well, there's always two sides to every story. I don't know what he was going through. He might have been, I don't know how he felt about things or what was going on there. I only know my mum's side, and she never talked bad about him. No. But it'd always be good to sort of understand how he was feeling at the time.
I'm sure you'll get your chance at some point if you want to make that happen.
100%. 100%.
Cool. So what's your favourite childhood memory?
Ooh, favourite childhood memory would probably be... honestly, it would probably be getting up really early in the morning, making breakfast and watching cartoons. That was the highlight. Man. Making a big bowl of cereal and just sitting in front of the TV. Cereal. Otherwise it would be going to rugby in the mornings, like 9 a.m. and the grass is frosted over. It's like falling on concrete. Those would probably be the highlights.
Isn't it funny what your brain retains from those years, and the stuff that you all the way through, you're like, actually that was cool. I love that.
Just the little things. You have no stress.
Simple life,
man. And I think even on like a Saturday, playing sport, whether it be like tennis, rugby, whatever I was playing at the time, like just having that surreal moment where you're like, man, after this game I get to go home and like play video games and we'll just chill out and
you've done the work for the day,
do whatever I want, It's such a good feeling.
Absolutely. I'm the same. I really miss those days of like pushing the couches together and building a fort 100%. And then just watching cartoons like 100%. Batman in the morning or something,
bro. Watching Squirt. Bro. It was the best.
They really were. Cool. Okay, what's something that people misunderstand about you most?
I think the biggest thing is that I look like I'm arrogant or unapproachable because I don't always necessarily smile. So that I've always had that. Even when I was working on the doors and stuff, people would be like, "Why don't you smile?" Or you looked really like. People would meet me later and be like, "You looked really unapproachable."
Just my resting bitch face.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. So I think that's a big. It's either that, like they think I'm really, really arrogant and up myself, or but what it really is I'm just shy. Like I won't go out of my way to talk to someone.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of keep to my own.
Yep.
And I guess that's misinterpreted.
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
lot of the time. Yeah.
I think a lot of people misinterpret someone being quiet for being arrogant or being like, unapproachable, like you say. And I think I'm like that at the gym. I think a lot of people at my gym would probably find me, they would think I was unapproachable, but it's just because I'm there to train and I don't really spend a lot of time talking to other members. But I know when I do talk to other members, I open up and they're like, oh, he's actually quite nice.
Absolutely. Or I think that, it's like tall, brown, all right looking, tattoos, and they just think,
all those things.
You're a player, you're a fuckboy, you're this, you're that. Big misunderstanding.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, what do you think, or what are your top 3 best traits?
Oh, I would say the first one would be I'm pretty good at trying to understand people. Empathetic. I like to try and understand why someone is how they are, or try and understand where they're coming from. I think I was talking with my barber and he told me this quote that really, really hit hard, and it was seek to understand rather than to be understood.
Right.
Which was just like, because you're so quick to want to say your part and get your feelings across that you don't try to understand what someone else is feeling or trying to actually say. So they might not be saying with words, but like the tone of their voice or their body language is you have to try and read that.
I'm the same. I am really trying to force myself to listen twice as much as I speak, because I'm pretty good at continuing to speak, or like someone will come up with something and then I'll comment on that immediately without waiting until they've finished the whole thing.
100%.
And then I'm like, fuck, actually I should have just waited.
100%. Yeah, wait, I want to know. I want to know.
Yeah. So I need to seek to understand as well. I think I need to work on that. And your third one?
I would say discipline. I'm pretty disciplined. Being a PT, I'm in the mindset of it. You have to practice what you preach. So if I'm getting someone to do something, it's because I know that it's good and I've done it myself.
That's right.
And I'm not going to make someone do all this crazy stuff that I've never done myself.
No, fair enough.
It has to be tried and true. So discipline with training, with nutrition, and trying to apply that to everything I do in life. Trying to. It can be hard sometimes, but
definitely.
Life is not always sunshine and rainbows.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, what's an insult that you've received that you're proud of?
Ooh, that's a good question. An insult that I've received that I'm proud of.
It doesn't have to be, you may not see it as an insult, but someone who said it probably intended it as one. You know what I mean? And it may be something that you've interpreted as, you know what I mean? You're like, actually, that's not a bad thing.
I think it would have to be around, like, if I've been invited to go out and eat and I order and I don't eat, or I bring my own food.
Right.
And, and they insult me like, oh, you're, why don't you live a little? Or like, you're so strict, like, you're no fun. I'm like, well, man, I'm happy.
I'm proud of my discipline.
Yeah, I'm proud of my discipline. Don't worry about me. Worry about yourself. Like, I'm here smiling. You're the one kicking up the fuss about it. That would probably be the number one thing. It's just my way of life. People, they don't understand. And they love food too much, or they love doing other things more. They just don't have that discipline.
I think some people do have a real firm construct of what should happen socially, and then you're like, actually, no, I'm not one of those people. I break the mold. I just do my own thing at any one moment. And I'll still come out. I'll still socialize. I'll still do these things. But hey, my goals and needs are more important than fitting in this moment. And you're just like, I'm still here.
So
I'm still going to make this work. I'm just going to eat my food.
I'm going to do my thing. Kind of like a Karen in that sense, you know, but I'm still having a good time.
And I think really that shows the type of people that you have around you. You generally do want people that are understanding of you.
That's it.
And your lifestyle 100%. And the things that are important to you, That's good.
I agree.
What's the biggest challenge that you're facing in your work or life right now, and how are you tackling it?
The biggest thing is probably just the unknown, like with personal training. Like if all your clients get sick, you make no money.
Oh yeah,
so that can be a little bit stressful.
Yep.
I think always in the beginning, whenever I've started at a new gym, it's always like, well, am I going to get clients?
Yeah.
Like you have that rent-free period, and it's always in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
And then you're like, sometimes you start to doubt yourself, and I'm like, bro, I've been doing this my whole life. Like you have to have that self-talk, or have someone tell you like, bro, you know what you're doing. It's all good.
Yeah.
And then
that I get that a lot with imposter syndrome. Like it's starting to feel like, can I really do this? Is this going to work, or should I just go back to a safe place?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think going a little deeper, it's more like I see people my age that are doing all these things, like getting married, having kids, buying houses. And, I'm not there yet.
No.
So I'm like, wow. And I'm like, if I'm going to get into a relationship, what am I bringing to the table?
Yeah, that's right.
Like I don't have my own house. I'm not fully established just yet. Like I've had some things happen in my life that have sort of stopped me.
Yeah. Just like setbacks.
Yep. Yeah. Well, like they weren't meant to be a setback, but then they didn't end up working.
Yeah, right.
So I've had to start all over again.
Yep.
And sort of have rock bottom and build your way back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really daunting. And then I'm like, I am not that same young person that I was. No. And I can't just go like in my back of my mind, I'm like, I could just go play sports overseas and But I'm like, could you? Could your body handle that?
Past that now.
Like I went over to Canada and played one game of rugby. Never pulled a muscle in my life. Pulled a muscle, and I was like, man, I'm not this young whippersnapper anymore.
Yeah, I guess options change as you get older, and I think it's a way of thinking. Like if you think about when you were younger, the options that were available to you, and you're like, fuck, I could have capitalized on any one of these paths,
100%.
And you're like, fuck, these ones might not be available to me anymore.
Yeah.
But you're like, actually, because you're the age you are now, all these other paths have actually opened up, and you're like, I actually have more life experience, more wisdom, all these setbacks that you're going through or that you've been through, they actually contribute to building a better picture of you, and they make you, more capable in so many other ways. So it's like, even though it may seem like those opportunities aren't there that used to be, you've got all these new ones that you just haven't discovered yet.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, when one door closes, three open.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. And I would definitely not go back. I wouldn't want to go back to my 20s where I didn't know enough about the world and the way, human nature and the way people are.
We just live day to day.
Yeah. I know. It's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a naive place to be, and you've got those setbacks are on their way, and you haven't necessarily got there yet, but they're coming.
That's it. Yeah. And then there's I can't remember the saying, but it's about like always comparing yourself to others.
Oh, I know. It's terrible.
It's terrible. You see these people younger than you doing better than you, and you're just like, oh, I don't know, and you get all butthurt about it.
I tell you what, but their setbacks are coming.
100%.
Everyone's are, and you might do well for the first, from 20 to 40, but then you might struggle with a drug addiction. Your wife might leave you. Like you just don't know what's coming.
That's it.
And we'll touch on this in questions later on, but I think both men and women have this thing where they compare themselves to others, and it's natural, everyone does it. And with men, it's very easy for us to compare ourselves to other men that are more, say, successful financially,
100%.
That have more resources to offer, 100%. They have more stability. They might have a house, they might have all these other things, and you're just like, fuck, why am I not there yet? Exactly. What do I have to offer? I'm getting older, But life experience, you can't put a price on that, man.
Not
honestly,
at all.
The lessons learned.
Yeah,
I think Michael Hill Jeweler started that when he was 50 something. And at that point I don't even think he'd made any money in like any other big way. But it just goes to show you that there's always opportunities coming.
That's it. For sure.
Cool. What are the three most important things you look for in a partner in order?
In order, I would have to say loyalty. Loyalty would have to be there. Being loyal to one another. Respect. Being respectful of each other and each other's time and each other's feelings. And the third, I would say they would really have to be empathetic and sort of be that rock. Because if relationship, when someone's down and out and they're only giving a certain amount, that other person has to pick up the slack.
You want someone who's going to show up for you.
That's it. It's not always 50-50.
No.
I think those would be the three main qualities in the order. For sure.
I think it's really healthy. What's one lesson your job has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Good things take time.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, good things
They
take
definitely
time.
do in the PT industry.
100%. 100%. You know, there's no cheat codes.
No, that's
There's
right.
no fast road to getting to where you want to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about being consistent, showing up day after day and keeping that discipline.
Yeah.
Because you can see a PT, however long you want to see them per week.
Yeah.
And they can motivate you.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing the right things when they're not there, you're not holding that discipline, then nothing's going to come.
Yeah, it's kind of your job to teach discipline as well, to show
100%.
them how to discipline themselves.
Absolutely.
But also, that motivation's got to come from them.
Absolutely.
Really. That's how badly do they want it.
Yeah, because I can give you I remember I'd have like consults come in and they just want a program, training program or a meal plan, and I'm like, bro, I can give you this, but 9 times out of 10 I'm going to show you this, you're going to forget.
And come back to me in 6 weeks and
exactly.
you'll be like, bro, what was that meal plan again?
Exactly. You're gonna forget things. I can give you all the tools. But again, if you're not gonna use them, then nothing's gonna change.
No, that's right.
Lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and just finally for questions for you, what are your top 3 red flags when dating?
Whew. Sure you don't want to do 30?
Top 3.
Top 3.
Yeah, it's hard because, a red flag is a red flag, but there's got to be the things that the things that are the quickest, the ones you're looking for when you get in there, basically. Like, you're just like, is this person that because I'm out?
Yeah, well, I guess like on the superficial, on the outside would be like bad hygiene. That's a no-no. If you smell, no.
You don't brush your teeth? No.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I guess on a deeper scale, or I guess if they're really secretive with their phone, like they always putting their phone down, or like real secretive about their phone. Or just if you're talking to someone and then they're always, it's like they don't reply or something happens and they're busy. I'm like, nah, like no one's that busy.
No, that's right.
If you wanted to make the effort, then you would. So that would be the second. And third would have to be if they're just respectful. Like don't have manners.
No, that's right.
At all. Don't have manners, not respectful, don't appreciate things.
Dates are often a really good way to work someone out. But if you go out for a dinner or something like that, I always look at how the woman treats the waiter.
100%.
Or people around her.
100%.
How she speaks to them, that kind of stuff.
Or how people talk to her.
That's right.
If she can light up a room and like make everyone smile, I like that. That's cool.
I agree. Okay, cool. So we'll get into these questions. These questions are I've written these and I've basically they're for both of us. So I'm going to ask you, Raf, just first up, and then we'll chat about each one and just see what kind of conclusion we come to at the end of each one. Okay. So the first one is, what does the word masculinity mean to you?
Masculinity.
How would you define it?
Masculinity. I would probably... it depends. Yeah, for me, masculinity to me is being able to like be someone's rock when they're low, to be able to hold things together. So like when sort of shit hits the fan, to be able to still stay strong and keep level-headed, and keep calm.
So it represents stability.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then obviously the physicality thing of it, being big and strong, it does show a little bit more masculinity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then I also feel being in touch with your emotions and being able to express your feelings is a very masculine thing.
It should be.
To me it is, and I feel like it's definitely got lost in translation along the way.
Absolutely. I think there's that old school, way of pushing masculinity is to shut down and just be like, no, I'll handle this. And if you're handling situations all the time and even handling them internally, then you're not willing to be vulnerable. You're not willing to talk about how you feel. You're not willing to do those things because you have to hold this facade up. You have to hold this like strength up. It's like actually you're going to burn out.
Exactly.
You're going to burn out.
You're good when you're not good.
No, that's right.
No.
Yeah, I think to me masculinity obviously represents I guess the positive aspects of being a male, that you are generally physically stronger than your partner, that you can handle, situations if they do get to a point where someone needs to take physical action.
100%.
You know, that you can protect her physically from another male if that male's being forceful. That you do represent stability, that you represent strength, that you're assertive, you're able to make decisions, you know, that you're able to say, you know, make suggestions. It's not like, hey, what do you want to? So what do you want to do this tonight? Like,
be assertive.
You know, it's like
decision,
we're gonna. I've booked this restaurant. This is where we're gonna go.
Be ready at 7.
You know, be ready at 7. I'm picking you up.
Wear something black and sexy.
And people can get carried away with that too, 100%. And they can be like, "You fucking be ready at this time."
That's too much.
Like, that's too much. Actually, you're an asshole now. Like,
exactly.
That's not masculine. That's you're a bully. Mate, you're a fucking bully.
I think another big one is that shows masculinity is when a situation happens and you being a big enough man to be able to walk away from a situation.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think that shows a lot.
Yeah,
masculinity.
It's really that comes with maturity, eh? As you get older, you know, that 100%. Emotional maturity to know this situation, it actually isn't worth it. And as a male, when you're young, I think that you've got this like idea that fuck, I need to control this situation now. I need to, and it's confusing too, because you don't know society well enough to know what you should be expected to do. And then as you get older, you're like, actually, society here expects me to be able to walk away.
100%.
You know, they expect me to. And then you look at the guy who can't walk away as pathetic. If he's like, come on, cunt, you know, all this, and you're just like, you leave. You know, you are actually the man.
You're winning.
For leaving that situation.
You've won.
You've won because you're not buying into a shit.
No.
You know?
And he's still angry, wanting to fight.
That's right. He doesn't have that emotional maturity to leave it. And
that's it.
I mean, it really depends, obviously, on the situation. You might have really fucked them off. But, realistically, if you can leave that situation, it is the better thing to do for everyone.
For sure.
But there are obviously times where you have to stand up for yourself. And you got to be able to do that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we know where those limits are.
That's it. Yeah.
Cool.
No cameras.
That's right.
No witnesses.
No, that's right. Okay, so how do expectations of men in society impact the way that we approach relationships and social connections?
I think, well, for me personally, I think you become more hesitant to want to do more, especially being a giver. Like if you're always doing stuff for them or paying stuff for them, and then it's not appreciated.
No.
It's sort of, and then, you know, and you either try and keep doing more to make it feel better, or you don't, and then it sort of ruins the relationship because they're expecting it.
Yeah.
And then if you take that baggage into the next relationship, you're wary, and it sort of can change who you are.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know, so when you come into a new relationship, you're more wary of that.
Yeah. And
I really think that shouldn't happen. You should still be able to be you. And not change because of what's happened in the past.
No, that's right.
And I think for both guys and girls, I think that's what happens a lot, is whatever's happened in the past, it triggers them.
Yeah.
And then so every relationship sort of changes them.
Yeah, that's right.
Bit, you know?
Yeah, I think we're expected to just bury that stuff, you know, like, or whatever's gone on. And it's like, actually, I guess, I think bringing new things into relationships, bringing old stuff into relationships sometimes needs to happen so that your partner understands you, but there's a way to bring it in.
There's always a way to do it. There's always a way to do it. And being able to say like, look, hey, this is a trigger for me, or this triggers me, because you don't have to be specific. I think at the same time, it's good to know that something's a trigger. You don't need to know the specifics.
Like that's right.
Who did it, why they did it, and all of that. Because I think,
and you also you don't need to front all your triggers at the start either. You know, none of them, you know, 70% of them might never come up.
Exactly.
You know, and it might be a case of, okay, well, I'm just going to wait, see how this goes. You get to a point where you're just like, hang on, that fucking triggers me, and you react to it. And then as long as your partner's understanding, she should be like, well, what was that about? And you say, well, do you want to, I'll explain it to you, but just I'm telling you this is going to be something from my past, so it's important that you understand that I'm only telling you this because it's what's happened in the past. You know, for 5 years, this person was so critical of what I did in this situation. You know, when you're critical of me in that situation, it just flares all that back up again. And then she's like, okay, I understand, I'll try not to. You know, maybe there's a better way that I can communicate that with you, you know, in those situations. And you're like, cool, and now we understand each other.
For sure.
You know?
Or like you tell them about a situation that had happened in the past, or something you did, or like you did something and they ask, oh, when did you do that? And then you explain it. And then like later on down the line that it's sort of used against you.
Yep.
Oh, you did this with such and such.
Yep.
And,
And
it's
they're looking for that to happen again too. And you're like, actually, I've moved on from that. That's why I told you.
Yeah. Well, like, how come you did that with this person? You won't do it with me. It's like, You know, you're two different people. Like it's
and I was a different person back then too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
you know, I hate that comparison.
Oh no, that's actually happened a lot, I think. And I recognise it more now than I used to. But you know, when you're very open about your past and you're open about the things that have happened, and especially when they ask you, what do you like there, or what would you have done there, or this kind of thing, and you tell them and you say, well, this is what what used to happen. It may not necessarily be right to do now, but it's expected, and then and it's like we said before, it's natural for people to compare themselves to your exes or whatever, and it's like, actually I'm forming something completely new with you here, and I love these aspects, and that was something from my past. It doesn't mean that I value that more than I value you.
It's been that can be troublesome, because in the past I've been with people and then they sort of see who my ex is and they're like obviously they're very attractive and they feel like not as attractive, and it's
might
sort
feel
of
threatened by that.
100%. And then or even like that I have a daughter to another woman, and then they get worried about, they're going to go back to her, or always going to have that relationship with her, and I'm like, nah. But how are you to know to believe that? I guess.
I've experienced that a lot as well. It's that, especially if that relationship, my relationship with my son's mother's really good, and that's a real threat to new people. Obviously, they see that as some people have seen that as a real threat, and it's like, and even my ex tried to destabilize that. She wasn't happy with me sending certain emojis and all this kind of stuff, and it was, I'm like, well, actually, she's like family to me now. She literally, she cuts my, she is family. She cuts my mum's hair. She cuts my nana's hair. Like, she's integrated into my family. Like anyone who comes into my life needs to accept that 100%. She has that place.
That's it.
At the table. And I guess like, the relationship there is that I can go around to her place and her partner will get me a beer and we'll just chat about shit, and that's great. And that's what I would want from anyone else. I'd want, Alicia to come around and whoever I'm seeing is able to come to her and say, do you want a drink? Can I get you something? And like that's ideal, really.
That's cool. In a perfect world. Yeah. 100%.
Yep, for sure. Okay. What does a high value man look like to you? How would you describe a high value man?
For me?
Yep. What are some traits of a high value man?
Oh, definitely having the shit together.
Yep.
I think a high value man is sort of established and driven.
Yep.
So sort of, has all the things that he needs and is driven for more. Is always hungry for something.
Yep.
Isn't just in a stagnant spot. And happy with that. He's always trying to do more, find ways to be happy, or ways to improve, or ways to make more money, or just very, very driven in that sense.
Yep.
High value would also mean, in my experience, I would say having a good relationship with his mother. Again, that's a big one.
It's essential.
You have to, if you respect your mum, you're generally going to respect most women.
I think if your mum's had a significant input into your life and how you've been raised, and your mum is a balanced person, generally,
for sure,
that you will be a balanced person, and that you'll be empathetic and things like that. That's often where empathy and things is built, is with your mum.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think a high value man is generally a male that is assertive, is driven, like you say, is able to, step up when he needs to, is empathetic, is capable, is has that. And I guess this is how I see a high value man. But also, I think society sees men as high value when they are able to contribute. To society as well. They should be taking. They don't necessarily have to be a leader or take charge, but they just have to be able to.
Contribute,
contribute, and also look after themselves. To be a high value male, you need to be in touch with yourself. That means you need to be able to, problem solve your own issues, but also not be afraid to reach out if you need help.
That's it.
That you're able to help others, and that you look after yourself both physically and mentally, so that you can protect the people that matter to you
big time.
when you need to.
Yeah, a big believer in the physical and mental.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of guys that are
one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. You know, either physically or mentally.
Yeah,
it's hard to find both.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
High value. You know,
often you can see both. The ones that put all the focus on one and neglect the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're like, okay, he's got a lot of money, he's got a lot of resources, he's doing really well, but he's doing these push-up challenges and shit. Or he's like, he is not physically capable, and he's not physically looking after himself either, and he's probably going to an early grave because he's not balanced. He's not balancing himself out.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of women will see the financial stability in a man, but we'll always want that young, fit, good looking dude with a nice body at times.
Yeah.
So if you can find both, it's a very
absolutely
high value man. Yeah.
I think if you're capable of getting a lot of resources behind you, you're doing well. You can stay. You have a lot of options available to you. You can eat well. You can live comfortably. And that's quite attractive.
100%.
People want to be. I think a lot of women do look for that as a desirable trait in men.
Definitely.
But some women are just focused on that, and that's unhealthy. I think
for sure, because
they're going to end up in a relationship where they may not be listened to.
Yeah.
They may not feel understood or heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's out of balance. I think.
Sure.
I think a male, to be a high value man, you should be working to be balanced in all aspects, whether that's family, looking after yourself and looking after the people around you.
Yeah. Because you can always chase money, but that time you never get back with friends and family and loved ones. You know, so.
And you're forging those connections when you're making that time for those people too.
That's it.
100%. Cool. So in the other sense, what does a high value woman look like to you?
A high value woman, again, driven, looks after herself.
So the independence, if a woman is driven and has independence, that doesn't put you off?
No, as long as...
It puts a lot of men off.
Yeah, no, I like that. But as long as I still feel valued, so I don't like to feel dependent on for happiness or for anything.
No.
I want to know that she's good.
Yeah.
But if she needs to do something, she can go and do that. Yeah. She doesn't need me to hold her hand and do it with her.
Yeah, you don't want the codependency.
That's it.
You want someone to be happy on their own and choose to have you in their life.
100%.
Yeah. That's driven, isn't it? That's a healthy sense of independence.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Because I feel like if you always do everything together, it's cool. It's always cool at the beginning, but you can sort of get a little bit of cabin fever, and then the smallest things annoy you about someone.
Yeah.
The way they breathe or the way they chew. Just anything. You know.
Normally, when it's getting to that point, I think there's other big things that are annoying you,
100%.
and then the little things start showing up. And you're like, I think if you love someone, you really love them, that you just tune that stuff out. You know what I mean? But if there's something under there that's really bothering you, then suddenly it's like, can you shut up?
I know.
Stop chewing like that.
Yeah. That's it. You take things out on the ones you love the most, unintentionally.
I know. It's a horrible part of human nature, eh?
Yeah, it's horrible. You could be pissed off about something that happened at work or at the gym or at the supermarket or whatever, and then you take it out on who's at home. Someone you love. So,
and with that emotional maturity comes that you try not to do that as much.
That's it.
I know we're all guilty of it. I think
100%.
Yeah, I think a high value woman to me is a woman that looks after herself. Again, same, both physically and mentally, emotionally. Someone who's willing to be vulnerable, but you also keeps her guard up to unhealthy behavior.
That's it.
Is willing to set boundaries. Is able to look after herself, and like you said, chooses to have someone in their life because they feel that person's going to add value.
That's it. She should be good by themselves.
Yeah, needs to be.
Yeah, it needs to be good by themselves. But if someone can add to that, you should always be happy and be able to, that adds to whatever you already have.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what are some situations that you can think of that men deal with in society that women may not be aware of? Even just one or two.
Probably how insecurities.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess women have to deal with that too, but I feel like men have it a lot, but I guess a lot of women might not think so.
So we're saying men's insecurities?
Men's insecurities. So always, again, because we're always sort of comparing.
Yeah.
We're always comparing but we just don't voice it.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas women might voice it more than us.
Yeah.
I think a lot is expected of us as a man, and that can be very daunting at times, especially if you feel like you're not in the right place to do that.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, there's a lot of expectations on men to have those resources, to be stable, to have the financial success and things like that, and it can quite easily get to a point where we're comparing ourselves to other guys that the girls know. And I guess there's always going to be situations that go on behind the scenes. I think the dynamic with men and women is that traditionally in society, men are the ones who approach women. So as a woman, when you're out, you're going to get approached. It's just the way it is. Even when you're at home on social media, you're going to get approached. You know, if you compare an attractive male with an attractive woman and you look at their DMs, that woman is just going to have
stacked.
It's going to be stacked.
Yeah.
You know, and whereas that male might get the odd message, but it's going to be nowhere near as high. And I think that statistically that would just be the case. I haven't looked that up, but I think that would be how it
100%.
is. And as a male, we have to deal with the fact that we know that there are going to be other guys with that might be more attractive, have more resources, all these kind of things. They may have more to offer, or they may have less to offer, or they may have other things to offer. But we're competing with that.
That's it. Yeah.
And whether we want to or not, you know, those men are still going to approach these women. Yeah. And this is something that we're constantly dealing with.
Absolutely.
You know, we go to town, we have to be wary of the fact that there could be a drunk guy in that club that is going to target your partner and that you have to deal with that. Yeah. You know, and she can say no, or she likes, but realistically, he might confront us. You know, these are things. And obviously, I think a lot of people are aware of this stuff. It does happen, but it is something that is specific to men generally.
For sure. I think we're expected to protect the female, but I also feel like the female should stand up for herself.
They need to. No, they do. They have to stand up for themselves. They have to. Like when you're in a relationship, you have to have those boundaries, and that you should go out feeling confident that your partner really is going to say the right thing when those things happen and has your best interests at heart. You know, if you feel on edge about that at all, that creates real big insecurities. And I've been in those situations where I've had exes, you know, just leave me in a club and walk off and ignore me for hours, you know, and you're just like, you're left there, you don't want to leave because you don't want something to happen. You've got this unhealthy emotional attachment, yet you're playing these stupid fucking games. And then, you know, one of these times I almost got into the point where I got into a fight with her cousin. Thinking, I know the story. Thinking that it was another guy. And, you know, she was talking to her and she looked over at me and he blew me a kiss. And I was like, you fucking serious? And I just beeline for him. And then I got over there and realised it was her cousin. And I was like, what am I doing? You know, you get wound up into that emotional state so much. And that shows you that you're with a really unhealthy person.
That's like it. That's it. Yeah. Well, I've been in the same situation. I was dating a girl, and we went out, and she was always very insecure about girls. Like, this girl looked at you, this girl touched you, this girl did that. And I'm like, whatever. And then one time I was standing with her friend, and they were like maybe 5 meters away, and some guy went over and gave her a hug. And I was never insecure, but because she was so in my face, but I was like, well, wait, what is this?
Yeah,
you know?
And you're angry at that point that you've had them have a go at you for so long. Yeah. And you're just like, how does that work?
Yeah.
You know?
And then he had his arm over, and then it sort of slid down, and I asked her friend, who's that guy? She didn't know. Smashed the glass, went up to the guy, grabbed the guy, threw him against the wall. I was like, what the fuck you think you're doing? This is like Club 22. Had a white shirt on. I smashed the glass, had bleeding out of my hand, blood all over my toe. We got kicked out. Terrible.
You would have been like, what, 24, 23 around then?
I think I was 20, when I was fighting 22.
So Club 22 would have been in 2002? 2012.
When was it?
12, maybe? Somewhere around there?
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
It was a long time.
I was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a good time. Not a good time. No. And then ended up back in a taxi, and then some hurtful words were said.
Oh, there would be, yeah.
And then, oh man, it was horrible. Yeah. You know, I ended up getting out of taxi and just walking. It was terrible, man. Yeah.
I remember that. You know, like those years, how many phones got smashed?
Oh, bro, so many.
I know. How many times did you walk?
Yeah.
Like places, or they walked.
Car window got smashed.
Oh, man.
You know who you are.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Car windows got fucking smashed.
Yes.
Fuck.
Not a good time.
You do know who you are.
Yes.
Why do you think it is that statistically men find it hard to be vulnerable and express emotions in relationships? Why do you think they find it hard?
I'm going to probably say just their upbringing.
Yeah.
You know, if they, I don't know, didn't have a mum around or someone around who would openly talk about feelings.
Yeah.
or maybe they brought something up one time with like a friend or family member, and they're like, oh, don't be a little bitch, or harden up, or something like that. You know, those
that can do some real damage.
You know, those harsh words, and you're so young, you're still developing, and then that just shuts off that emotion. So you just learn to say nothing and just deal with it. I would put it down to that. Or like if you bring something up in a group of friends and they, you know, someone judges you real quick, or they make a joke about it when you're trying to be vulnerable and express how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And the other person just just doesn't have that emotional maturity to be able to, you know, have a conversation with you about it, or can't relate, so they just make a joke about it. I think that can really crush
Definitely.
a dude.
I think when you need to have obviously some positive reinforcement when you express yourself when you're young, and if you don't, then you don't want to express yourself, and you don't feel like it leads to anything positive. You know, and if your parents have encouraged that when you're young, and that's why it's so important to have a good mum.
That's it, man. You know? That's it.
I don't know if I've said it before on an episode or not, but I had there was a girl I dated early last year, I think, or maybe even the year before, and we were sitting there, and we were talking, and she said to me, she said, I think you're really emotionally intelligent. And I said, oh, thank you. And she said, I think you must have a really nice mum. She said, you must have a really good mum. And I was like, that's when I realised in that moment, I was like, actually, I do have a really good mum.
That's it.
Like,
100%.
I've got a fucking awesome mum. I think that's so important, is to have that input from a female, especially the female that's raising you. And that's why I think having female friends as an adult male is really important too, and even when you're a kid.
For sure.
Just so that you, I guess, have that level of I guess understanding and compassion and things, and that because men traditionally just don't. They don't encourage each other to open up. They don't encourage each other to be vulnerable, and often we do feel like we're competing, because it goes back to what we were saying before. You know, we're out there in society competing for women,
and we don't want to look weak.
We don't want to look weak
in front of other people or our peers.
And so, like honestly, you find like men reach out to their male friends about emotional issues like 5% of the time that they should be. And it's very hard to actually find male friends that you can talk openly about your emotions with, because we're talking about the stuff that you're least happy with, you
100%.
know, about yourself. And you don't want to admit to another male often that you are feeling weak, or you're feeling hurt, or you're worried about your girlfriend or your partner playing up, because you don't know if that male's then going to capitalize on that.
100%.
There's a lot of white knights out there.
100%.
You know what I mean? And
100%.
we'll get to that. But there's a lot of dudes, and mate, I think everyone will know this. There is a lot of guys out there who will capitalize on instability in their friends' relationships, and they are fucking dogs. These are the ones that actually look for the weaknesses, and they jump in there when they can see. And they're the ones that will message, and they'd say things like, oh, I've always thought the way he treated you was bad, and you know, all that kind of stuff.
Bro, that's happened to me.
I think it happens to to a lot of men. Like honestly, at some point, especially with social media. Because you can see who your friend's dating. And it's just like, oh, like, you know, I've been into you the whole time. I've always looked at you. And
they're always waiting, man. They're always waiting, dogs.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. But I think it's that'll be a significant reason why a lot of men don't want to open up to each other, because they don't want to necessarily put themselves in a vulnerable place. They want to be like, I've got this under control. Don't worry about me. You know, but really they're suffering. Behind the scenes.
It's hard to find a guy we can have a safe place with. You know?
That's right.
And I think, being older now, I reach out all the time. If something's bothering me in anything, I reach out to a couple of my friends, you being one of them, because I know that you're always going to have an unbiased opinion. You know, you're not just going to be on my side and tell me what I want to hear. Blow smoke up my ass.
You're trying to think
well, what did you do?
For you.
What did you do? Why do you think they're like this? What have you done? Tell me what you did. You know, it's like, come on, bro.
That's right. And you've got to pick the right people to do that too, because a lot of people, if they said that to me, I'd be like, who the fuck are you to tell me?
Exactly.
You know, like, they call you someone you trust.
And that they know they're going to call you out on your shit. But you just have that relationship and that respect for one another, that you're just like, well, he's not being mean. He's just saying it how it is. You know, it's just being real. He's made that observation, and it's probably right. That's it. You know? Yeah, absolutely. How much time do you think men need between relationships, and why? I think it depends on how bad how long the past relationship was and what happened.
Obviously, the longer you were with them,
the longer you're with someone, the longer you need. Because I know I was engaged, and when that fell through, man, it took me At least a year.
Yeah.
You know, at least a year to even think about dating again.
Right.
Do
you think you were ready to date looking back at that year mark? You know,
probably not.
Even though you were dating.
Yeah. Nah, probably not, to be honest. For me, it was more just about having someone there. I didn't necessarily see a future with them. It was more just about having someone there to comfort me.
Yeah.
In a sense that I could talk to, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it was never like, oh, I'm gonna have a future with you and da-da-da. Whereas now, if I'm dating someone, it's like, can I see myself with you for the rest of my life? Can I see you as my wife? Can I see us having a future together? Instead of just, this is fun in the moment.
Yeah.
Then what? You know?
Do you feel like there was a bit of codependency there at that time in that relationship?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, bro. 100%. It was very much like that. And also, like, they were there, but I also didn't really care. So I was sort of like 60% in.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, something happened, it's whatever. I'm still good.
Yeah, I've been like that a lot.
Very, very guarded.
Yeah, I've been like that a lot in relationships where I guess I just haven't given it 100% because I've been worried about being hurt myself.
100%.
And just thought, this is probably going to end at some point, and maybe I shouldn't be so invested.
That's it. Yeah. And I think whereas now you can still sort of, in a sense, be like that, but know that if still give 100%, it's hard to, but give 100%, but know that if something does happen, you're still good.
Yeah.
You're still going to be good within yourself.
That comes with that self-worth, just building that and that growth. Yeah. And look, most of us don't have that. We're not born with it.
No.
And our childhood can damage that.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, we have to find that.
That's it,
and
man.
There's no quick way to do that. You have to do that through your 20s.
Yeah.
Generally. And then by the time I was 30, I'd actually started to work out who I was.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm like, okay, now I'm actually, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, I'm happy with who I am.
Yeah.
And then you can go into relationships and be a lot more secure that if this ends, I still have the same stuff to offer.
That's it.
And I'll find someone who wants that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I've been in a relationship where I thought I could do more to make it better. And then when that still didn't work and it ended, I lost all self-worth.
Yeah.
And here I am, like mid-20s, in my prime, looking good. I always had fresh haircuts. I was ripped, I looked good. Yeah. And I had nothing.
Yeah.
I had nothing. I just had no self-worth. I was like, I'm a piece of shit. Like, I couldn't even, even having this nice body and having money and whatever, I still couldn't keep a female. No. It wasn't enough. So I'm not enough. I'm useless.
It's today. If you don't love yourself, you can't give love.
Absolutely.
If you don't respect yourself, you can't give respect.
Yeah.
You have to get those things ticked off first.
That's it.
And it's very easy to think, I'm in good shape. I've got a lot to offer. When you're younger, and you're like, boom, and you're like, actually, this fucked out. And but what did I do wrong here? And it takes a lot of self-reflection.
That's it.
Yeah, but that's how you get the self-respect. You're like, actually, I've failed here. What have I done wrong? Oh, okay, I really shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Okay, what am I now? Okay, I've got more to offer than that.
Yeah,
now.
You can learn from it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't.
Nah, they don't self-reflect like you said. They just move on into something new.
Yep.
And
they make the same mistakes with the new person.
Yeah, they just jump. And it's so easy to walk away. It's so easy to walk away and get into something new. Because again, that first 3 to 6 months, whatever they said, the honeymoon phase is always good.
Yeah.
But when shit gets hard, people just run.
That's right.
And they get into something new. Oh, this is fun and new.
Yeah.
And it's just so terrible.
It's basically like wearing clothes for like a whole week straight, getting out of them and just getting into some new ones.
Exactly.
And not worrying about maintaining the clothes that you're wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're still filthy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you're not like clean. You're just making the new clean clothes dirty.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, no, that's not it. You've got to. I think a lot of times you always think grass is greener on the other side, but it's greener where you water it.
It's
so
greener.
If you want to put in the effort, then it'll work.
That's right.
100%.
Yeah, it can be green wherever you are.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Do you think there is a lot of pressure on men to be financially successful? And do you think that affects their self-worth in relationships?
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I'm not making money and I'm not good, I'm like, man, like I'm nothing.
Yeah, your self-worth takes such a hit.
My self-worth takes a hit. And I talk with my cousin who's a pastor at the Spreading Baptist. And he's always like, make sure you get yourself right. Make sure you have everything that you have to be able to offer and to be able to provide for your wife.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very biblical and very by the book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And he's the one that taught me, like, next time you are dating someone, have these qualities that you look for in a woman, make sure they tick them all, and then just picture, like, can you see them as your wife for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Instead of just like for some quick fun.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like, this is cool in the moment.
Yep.
You know, always. Yeah.
Yep. I think there is a lot of pressure for men to be financially successful, so we have a choice really on. Yeah, the more financially successful you are, I think it opens up, just like money is options. You know, money is just options. It just gives us the option to live how we want to live and do what we want to do. Being financially successful and having money gives you more options in terms of the types of woman or the woman that will be attracted to you, I guess.
100%.
And so men put a lot of pressure on themselves to be financially successful because they want those options, you know, and they want the comfort of the living as well.
Yeah,
but it's instinctively driven into us.
Yeah.
That, we need to have those options to be a high value man.
100%. Well, you have those flashy things that attracts flashy girls.
Yeah, that's right.
But then they're not always the right girl.
Yep.
But, you know, I know a lot of people that are not the best looking, not the most fit. If they have money, man, they pull some honeys.
I know, and I think if you go back like 60 years, it was a lot harder to be a millionaire in your 20s. Nowadays with social media and, you know, even like gamers and that, multi YouTubers,
They make bank.
multi-millionaires at young ages.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more videos of dudes that are 23 driving around in Lambos with like $30 million houses in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that's everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's sponsored links ramming that down our throats, like that is happening. So then we've got this unrealistic view of we all need to be like that, you know. And although it is possible, there's a whole set of circumstances that line up with that. You know, where were you born? What's your social circle? Who do your parents know? You know, were you there at the right time to capitalize on that opportunity that came up online? You know, when something new came out, you know, like AI's just come out. It's a big thing over the last couple of years. You know, there's going to be new opportunities that come up with that. Yeah. And just those opportunities. You know, you have to be at the right place, right time. To capitalize on that kind of stuff, definitely.
Yeah.
But there is a big pressure, and I think the pressure is only getting worse at the moment because there's, I guess, it's being flaunted more. It's more available. We can see it everywhere. You know?
Yeah, and people want to be around that. I think a lot of people that hear that, I'm in New Zealand, I can't do that, and they already doubt themselves. They look at all these people in Oz and America making all this money, and they're like, I need to be there to do that. So you don't. Like, you just need to know more. You just need to have more knowledge. Yeah, we are. I guess we are limited to a degree because we're here. But at the same time, how smart are you? 100%. You know, right? Everyone's capable of doing it. Exactly. Everyone's capable of putting things in place. You've just got to create those opportunities. That's it. Yeah. Do you think men are stereotyped as being sexually motivated most of the time? Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Do you think they are sexually motivated most of the time? I mean, nah. I mean, I think then the recent studies have shown like men nowadays have lower testosterone than they did way back in the day. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously some of us. Some of us. But yeah, I think from the outside looking in, a lot of women will just see like, oh, I'm just viewed as a piece of meat. Like something that they can have fun with. Yeah. But again, not all guys are like that. But I think that contributes to when girls go out and they get hit on by drunk guys. Yeah. And they're not thinking, they'll hit on anything. Yeah, that's right. Anything. Yeah. Even like subpar looking females think they're like 10s. Yeah, that's right. Because they get hit on by everything. Yeah. You know, so it's ruined. And then when a good guy comes along, being nice, women will think, oh, it's just they have a hidden agenda. They're just doing this to get in my pants. Yeah, that's right. But some guys are pure-hearted. Some guys know how to play the game really well, but some are really nice and they just want to get to know you and they genuinely like that. Yep. And it's just misinterpreted. I know. I find it's funny. As I've got older, I've realised that I have inbuilt kind of things in me that, for example, I sometimes avoid eye contact or conversations with women at the gym because I don't want to look like one of those guys. You know, there's so many dudes out there that are interrupting women's workouts that are just like, you know, staring at them from the other side of the room, all that kind of thing. Even if I find a woman attractive at the gym, it's very rare that I would interact with her. Yeah. Just because for me, it's weird. Like, no, I'm the same. I'll never do that. To me, I'm being respectful. 100%. You know what I mean? I am. Yeah. But to another male, they might look at me and go, oh, he's weak. Yeah. You know, or he's just not confident. Yeah. Or these kind of things. I'm 100% confident talking to them in the right circumstances. I'm not going to be that guy that seems just sexually motivated. Yes. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. So it actually prevents me from taking opportunities that might be there. Exactly. You know, I believe that men should
approach women, because I think for a woman to approach a man, she's putting herself at risk of feeling desperate, and it doesn't mean that she is, because I think women should be able to approach men as well.
100%,
but I think a woman can give a guy cues, like visual cues that she's interested. It could just be little things. It could be a smile over the shoulder. It could be a second glance. It could be anything that indicates you can approach me. You know what I mean? And then and then the male shows confidence by approaching the woman in a healthy way. Yeah. But half the time I'm not even looking at those cues, or I'm not looking for them.
You're not looking.
Just like, I'm not going to approach her anyway, because I just don't want to be that kind of the gym,
exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's more acceptable, like if you're out, and like you walk past and you catch eyes, and then they give you a little smile, you're like, shit, I'm in.
That's right. That's right. And I guess if you're at an event or something and you've just got there and you get that at the start, you're like, okay, I've got a couple of hours to make this happen.
100%.
And I think it's how it should naturally evolve. You can build a bit of like tension, and and that's part of the fun. It's a bit of a healthy game that goes on with that. It's a bit of a dance. You know what I mean? And I think it's you got to enjoy that, but at the same time, you don't want to be that guy that just is out in front at the gym. It's like that's sexually motivated. Generally, he doesn't even know you.
Nah, you just like what you see.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like if it's more kind of like organic, like somehow you get into conversation. And then the conversation just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then you're like, yo, this chick's pretty cool.
And with social media and everything that's here, there's tactical things you can do to actually create conversation and find out what's going on in their life and things like that. If their social media is public, it's public for a reason. You can go and find out things about them and then go, okay, cool. Maybe I'll well, it looks like we have some of the same interests. Okay, cool. Well, maybe next time if I do see her, I might talk to her and just say, if I've added her on Instagram and she's accepted or whatever, and when I do see her, I might just bring up one of those things and say, thanks for accepting me on Instagram. I saw that you went to, I don't know, Fiji last year. I was there the year before. Wasn't it beautiful? It can be that simple. I don't think everyone does a bit of social media stalking. You'd be kidding yourself if you said you didn't.
Absolutely.
It's just about how healthy is that, and are you using it for the right reasons? Are you trying to work out how often they run around the park so you can watch them with binoculars? Or are you like, cool, she's a member of that group, I'm also into that stuff, maybe when I do talk to her, I'll bring that up.
Exactly. I like that.
Sorry,
that
might sound a bit dodgy, but it's I don't know. You have to. I feel like when you're dating, you have to be tactical in a way, because you want to work out whether that person has similar interests to you, and what actually do I have a foundation to build something real with this person?
100%.
If you see someone at the gym, you're like, I'm attracted to her. And then you find out, she's into all these similar things to me. And you're like, she is 100% worth approaching, because there's a good chance we're going to get on really well.
Yeah. And then vice versa. You might like have one thing in common, and then you get talking, you find out all these other things about her, and you're like,
that's right.
I'm not into that.
And that's fine. That's perfectly fine too. Like a big misconception in society is that you can't change your mind.
Exactly.
You could get 3 dates in and be like, she's just dropped this massive thing on you, and you're like, fuck, actually I can't do that. And it's like, you're in a hard position. Do I say that now, or do I think about it? And then do I message her the next day, or do I call her, or do I meet her again? There's all these this perception of the right way to do things, but really, you are you. You've got to work out what's right for you.
You just got to say it. I think, what is it? My barber says, kind is clear, clear is kind.
Yeah, that's right.
You just got to say it. Say it how it is.
At the same time, though, you don't want to be too honest. There's too honest. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that you might be thinking that you shouldn't say because it's cruel. These kind of things. And so you just got to be like, okay, what is the right thing to say here that everyone leaves okay?
Situation. It's always the way you say it. The way you say it, and then your tone of voice. It always has to. You have to think about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for sure. When dating, how long do you think people should wait before sleeping with someone?
Good question. It's a good question, Josh. How long do I think they should wait?
How long? And it's a bit of a trick question, and I'll tell you about that after. But how long do you think?
I think, well, the Christian in me would say wait till you're married,
right?
But obviously I haven't done that because I have a daughter and I'm not married. I think it really depends. I think, as long as it's not on a night out and you're drunk, if it's like, again, if it's organic and you've I think at least 3 or 4 dates.
Yeah, I think it's
at least 3 or 4 dates. Like first base, second base, third base. I think that's a good rule of thumb.
It's that dance again,
if you're gonna do
building
that.
into it.
Yeah, because and then it's like you create. If you make you know, otherwise, because if you get it, then you're like, like it's kind of good to have that chase a little bit, something to kind of look forward to.
Yeah, that's right.
And then also you're still getting to know them.
Yeah, that's right. That's key.
Yeah, and I feel like when you sleep with someone, men consider to sleep with a girl, and it doesn't mean a lot. But when a woman sleeps with a guy, there's that emotional attachment that comes along with it.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're, you know, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for them. Whereas guys consider just, and I guess
it's much more of an investment for women.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Because I think guys can sleep around, they're still the man, but if a girl does it, she's a slut.
Yeah, she's devalued in society. Yeah,
exactly.
Society looks at her and other women look at her and goes, oh, she's just given that away.
100%.
You know, and she doesn't want to be known like that.
Yeah,
I mean, I personally think that it's about understanding the fundamentals of whether you're going to get on or not. You know, whether this person is right for you in the real serious ways, and the intimacy would be the kind of the last thing to do out of all that. So like, obviously you're going to get to know someone more as time goes on. After 3 months, you'll know them better. And then after a year, you'll know them even better. And there'll be things you'll find out 2 years down the track that might be deal breakers.
Yeah,
you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but in the first dating period, for me, intimacy to me is the last thing that can come, only because, and excuse the pun on that. Basically, I think you should get to know someone in all the ways that matter, and build that sexual tension.
That's it. Yeah,
and then basically, when it finally happens, you'll find out whether you're sexually compatible or not.
That's it.
You know, but that's the ideal way. It doesn't always work like that.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you have those big heart to hearts. You have massive big heart to hearts about things that makes you more attractive. Yeah,
that's right.
It makes them more attractive. It's like, well, you're openly talking about this, and we can openly talk about this, and there's no judgment.
No, that's right.
That's attractive. This is safe.
Yeah.
You know, it makes the other person way more attractive in my mind, no matter how hot they are. Because they can be the hottest girl in the world, and you talk about something and they just like shut off, and that's, you're just like, oh, like, you know, you take a step back. Yeah. But if they're like open and kind about everything, and they can relate and ask questions about what you're talking about, and actually show that they care, that's so attractive. You know? Yeah.
I think and I could be wrong on this, but my observations on this are that patience is attractive to women. So if they're looking at a male and he is patient, you know, he's not in a rush, genuinely not in a rush, and is willing to get to know her well enough before he even, you know, starts suggesting or pushing for things like that. It shouldn't be something that's, you know, at the same time, I've had women that I've dated that have said to me, you know, oh, why didn't you kiss me in the car? And, you know, why didn't you do these things? You know, and I'm like, well, again, it comes back to that thing at the gym of being respectful. I'm not that guy that rushes into that stuff. Like, if I'm attracted to someone, I'll go on multiple dates with them. Well before I try and do anything like that. That's it. But I would want that tension to build on its own. I would want there to be a bit of flirtatious language, you know, to use. I would want to have those interactions with that woman where it is flirting and it's fun, and you're like, oh, I wonder if this is leading somewhere, you know, but let it happen. And I'm not afraid to take charge when I need to, but I think that if you're patient, that says a lot about your nature.
100%.
You know, and I think that is an attractive trait. And like, I would, if I was a woman and my sexual investment was as heavy as it is in a woman, because it is a big thing, like, I would definitely be looking for patience from a guy.
100%. And like they would say, chivalry's dead, but like, if you can be a gentleman, you know, like going on a few dates and open the car door for her. Yeah, that's right. If she's cold, give her your jacket. Be a man. You know, do those things right. And then, because I've been in that situation where I've done all that, did not make a move. And then at another time, I was so in my head about, you know, because I didn't know if I was getting the cues to make a move or not. You know, there was the play fighting and the physical touching. I'm like,
and you don't want to be rejected.
Yeah, like, that's it. We're so scared of rejection.
That's the thing.
I don't want to read the room. So I just brought it up, and I was just like, oh, and they're like, what? And I was like, I don't know if I should kiss you or not. And then they're like, why not? And I was just like, because I'm just in my head. You got me in my head, you know, because I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to play this out wrong. And I was just like, look, if I kissed you, would you stop me? She was like, no.
Sometimes it's nice to openly talk about it like that.
And I was like, all right.
Done. Yeah.
Sealed the deal.
Yeah, for sure. I had a good point. Oh, yeah, there's been plenty of times where I've you know, been in a situation where it may not be a date, it might be the first time I've met this girl, you know, and it might be one night where I'm out. I can think of 2 occasions where this has happened, where I've kind of been flirting with them on and off throughout the night. We've been together for a few hours, it's got to the end of the night and they're like, I'm sober enough to drive, and I'm like, do you want me to drop you home? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. That'd be good. So then I take her home and we get outside her house and then she's like, cool. And then she's like, well, do you want to come in or should we go back to yours or something? And I'm like, well, I've just dropped you home. Like, and I'm like, I didn't expect anything from her. I genuinely didn't, but I think she expected me to push for it. And because I didn't, then she's made the move, you know what I mean? Like, and she's actually allowed that to happen. Yeah. And I think a lot of guys in those kind of situations would try and capitalize on that and just be like, can I come in, or what are we doing now? Or do you want to come? No, just come back to mine. Just come back to mine. It's that. I've got drinks. We'll do this. We'll do that. And it's just like that doesn't demonstrate patience at all. No. It demonstrates that you are sexually motivated, 100%, and that's what you want, right? And even if you are. That is what you want in that moment. You've got to be willing to say no to it. Exactly. You've got to be willing to let that happen on her terms.
100%.
And that is attractive.
Yeah. How attractive is that? When a woman's like, yo, do you want that? Like, I want this. Do you want this? And you're just like...
I think if a woman finds a male who's forceful in that situation, masculine or attractive for being... I wouldn't even call that assertive. I'd call it aggressive. Like if you're aggressively pushing for that kind of thing in that situation, some girls are like, I want a guy who takes charge. Actually, that's unhealthy. I think really.
It's a fine line.
There's a fine line. And there's a very, very high risk of like emotional and physical abuse from guys like that. So like, you've got to really be balanced in your outlook. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, I mean, there's been times where it's just, you meet someone and it's just instantly, you feel that chemistry and it's just like, and it's just physical and you're just like,
this is happening.
This is happening. It's happening like mine or yours type thing, let's get out of here. Yeah. Do the old, these ones.
Yeah. It's so true. Do you think, so next question is, do you think toxic masculinity is a thing?
Absolutely it is. Yeah. Like you're saying, when guys are too demanding and they feel like they have too much testosterone, or they can boss women around, or like everything has to be on their terms, and they're so egotistical, and they just there's no rules, it's their way or the highway. I feel like that's not a boundary. That's kind of like a dictatorship, and they're just taking charge and they're in control. That's toxic.
It is.
They shouldn't be able to have that control. Like, or even when a girl wants to wear something, they're like, no, you're not wearing that, or no, you're not going out with your friends. They feel like it's their place
to say that.
That's really toxic. That's controlling.
It is, I
don't agree with that.
Have you experienced it? Do you think there's been times where you have been?
Where I have been?
Yeah.
Oh, probably. There probably might have been. Yeah, there probably might have been times where I'm like, where I'm just like, why do you want to go out to town and get wasted when there's just going to be all these drunk guys around? I'm just going with the girls. Or like, we'll hang out at home with the girls.
And it's your insecurities fueling that.
Absolutely. And if I know they like to dance and they like to get wild and sometimes get blackout drunk, I'm like, well, that's going to leave you open to doing something that you might not remember, or someone might take advantage of that and drug you.
You're just looking at all the potential things that could happen. And often, it could have been a previous partner that's put you in that state, or it could be them. You know what I mean? Like you those insecurities, and you could have been triggered by being with someone who displays unhealthy behavior. But either way, that can bring out most of the men who are toxic and have that toxic masculinity trait or traits, and they come out often, are men who haven't been raised well, the ones who do it all the time. They haven't been raised well, or they've had traumatic relationships that have contributed to making them very insecure, and they end up pushing that on their partners.
Well, I mean, I've been threatened. I had a client, and I made a reel they were in the reel with many of my clients, and I was in there too. And the person they were seeing didn't like it. They had seen me in real life, and then they must have looked up on my thing and looked at my things and saw that their partner was on that, messaging me like, take that off right now.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, bro, this is my business.
That's right.
And she had asked me to take it off. So I was like, I took it off. I was like, look, bro, I took it off, but only because she asked me to.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know you.
You don't answer to him.
Nah. Blocked him, called me off her Facebook, abused the shit out of me. He's going to put a bullet in me, asked me where I was, wanted to fight me. I was just like, bro, you're like a little boy, man. You're like a little kid. You're so insecure. I just stayed calm, and I think that made her more angry. Because I didn't bite. I was like, whatever, man.
I feel sorry for her.
100%.
Being in that situation with a guy like that.
Absolutely.
She's capable of making her own decisions. If she's agreed to be in a video, that's she knows it's your business.
That's it.
You're promoting clients.
Yeah, and I ask all my clients, do you mind if I promote you on my page and whatever?
Yeah, I've seen like a lot of your reels that you put up with your clients and things, male and female.
Yeah.
It's not just that you don't just post a woman.
No.
It's both.
Yeah, yeah.
And this guy's obviously threatened by you.
For sure.
I have a lot of dudes that watch my stories.
Yeah.
And it's the same ones.
Yeah.
And they don't follow me. You know what I mean? And then I find out as time goes on, he's interested in her.
Yeah.
Or he's interested in her.
Yeah.
Or that's her ex.
Yeah.
Or that's her current partner. Yeah. And it's some of them have been watching my stories for years. Years.
Yeah.
Not following me. Do you know what I do now? I follow them.
Yeah.
And then
Good.
and then what they do is they remove my request.
Yeah.
Or they stop watching my stories.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Because they're like, I see you, mate.
You make that first step.
Yeah.
But I will admit, like, I will get, in the past, I've just gotten, like, women that have an appealing physique to other women.
Yep.
And it's like, hey, look, can you come in so I can...
Real good business strategy.
And then, and it looks good. Like, oh, well, they already look good. And they come like, oh, she trains with him and she looks good. I'll go train with him. He can make me look good.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
I can't do that.
You're just going to capitalize on their genetics.
100%.
And their hard work. And their hard work.
100%.
You're like, these are the girls I train. They're in good shape. I can get you in good shape.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of them they have an athletic background.
Yep.
They just play sports or something. So
of course.
and they don't eat crap. So, it's very easy.
It's a lifestyle thing.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
But it's easy to teach, easy to coach.
And that's fair enough. With my business that I'm starting with coaching and things, I would want testimonials and success, results from people who are successful now in what they do, and generally people who are willing to work on themselves, like your clients are.
Yeah.
And you want to demonstrate all those qualities to potential clients. You're like, these girls are working on themselves. They look good.
Yeah.
This is what I want to showcase.
Yeah.
And I think you should come and train with me because I'll get you looking as good as you can.
That's it. Yeah. And I love those. I love doing like before and afters and testimonials because it just shows like where they've come from to where they are now.
Yeah.
And even for myself, like I was fat as a kid and then come through. So it can change things heavily.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Why do you think men struggle to commit? I know you don't, and I don't. Well, I have recently, like over the last couple of years, I have.
Yeah.
But generally, a lot of men do struggle to commit, and whether that's because they are unfaithful or they just don't want a relationship.
Yeah, I think they're afraid. I think a lot of the times they're afraid to be vulnerable.
Yeah, that's right. It comes back to that. Often.
They're afraid, or they're afraid to set the tone and set boundaries. In fear of the woman walking away. Or they cheat.
Yeah.
Because then they're still in control.
Yeah, that's right.
So they cheat. And then, if the girl does something, they're like, oh, well, it's all good because da-da-da. But then it happens to them and they're not all good.
No, they're not.
They're not all good at all.
It brings everything that they're repressing up to the surface.
It makes it way worse.
Yeah, it does.
It would make it way worse than if you were faithful and then they cheated. If you cheated and then they cheat, it's almost like karma.
It just comes back to having that self-respect and that self-worth.
Yeah.
If you've got that and they cheat on you, you're going to be fine even though it's upsetting.
That's it.
But if you don't have that self-worth, I feel sorry for the next person you date.
That's it.
Because you're going to be even worse.
That's it. And it's always in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
If you cheat, you might be with someone and you've cheated, but it's always in the back of your mind. So like you might be arguing that it's like, well, in the back of your mind, like, well, I cheated on you. So no.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're guilty.
Yeah. And it can also create, if you've played up in the past, if you've cheated and then, you really feel like you've got something to lose at that point. You're not on stable ground. The fact that could happen to you at any point and it could be justified or that, not justified, but the person could do it and you're like, I can't, technically, morally, I can't say anything because I've done it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that's a hard position to be in.
Yeah.
And feeling like that could always come out at any point is rough.
For sure.
Yeah, I know. I definitely, when I did play up in the past in relationships and I wasn't loyal and I was broken back then when I did that kind of stuff, then after that felt like I couldn't take the relationship as seriously as I should have because I felt like it could fall apart at any time.
That's it.
If that information came out or that person found out what had happened, that was it. Basically, I was like, I will never get that trust back. So what's the point?
Yeah. Once that trust's gone, it's gone.
Really, you'll never feel and represent safety to that person.
I also think they find it hard too because trust is earned.
Yep.
And it's hard because I know for me, I've gone into relationships where I trust that person fully, but I'm getting punished and untrusted because of their past.
Yep.
And it's the worst feeling.
It is.
Like you've done absolutely nothing but be there, show up, like message them back straight away. You've done all the things right, and they still don't trust you.
Some of that could come from what we were saying before too about how they see you.
Yeah.
They might look at you and go, okay, you're an attractive guy, you look after yourself, you've obviously got people that are interested in you. Why would you just settle for me?
Exactly.
And again, I think with this, high value men thing, if a male is high value and he knows he is, he's less likely to settle for someone that doesn't tick all his boxes.
That's it.
And that high value comes with self-worth too.
Yeah.
If you've got that self-worth and things.
Yeah.
So women will look at you and go, okay, he's high value. Maybe he has high self-worth. He seems to, because he can walk away. He can. He's reasonable in arguments. He's all these kind of things, and then they're like, so he's got attention. Why would he just settle for me? And that can breed insecurity as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially if they, like you said, look at your exes. If your exes are beautiful, if you've been good to them, or if you've played up in previous relationships. I mean, all those things will fuel feelings of inadequacy in the new partner.
Yeah,
it all could feel those feelings, and so that person might be like, yeah, fuck, I've got a lot to lose here, and that can come out as insecurity.
Yeah,
hard out,
big time, big time.
Why do you think men cheat, lie, or manipulate in relationships? We've kind of touched on that,
Yeah,
like it really comes down to. Oh, yeah, we basically just did.
Yeah. They just, man, in the moment. They're just, I mean, we're men, right?
Yep.
We're impulsive.
Yep.
We see something nice, we want to sleep with it. We just want to,
Yep.
We're impulsive.
Yeah, I've been through a bit of the study I'm doing. It talked about, I don't know if I told you, I think I have told you about this whole thing, the Coolidge effect, where they basically did tests and they put a bull in a pen and they put a cow in there with the pen, and the bull would mate with the cow. And then they'd take that cow out and they'd put a new one in. And the bull would mate with that cow with the same energy of the first, right? And they'd take that one out. And they could do this 12, 13 times, and the bull would mate with the same energy
100%
every time, but then they put the same old cow back in, and the bull wasn't interested at all. And this applies to lots of different mammals across. You can look it up. It's called the Coolidge effect.
Yeah.
And what it showed is, and this is men, it's specific to men, is that men seek novelty, so they look for new, and that it's some men do it more than others, and some men are more prone to it, but it's hardwired into all of us, and it basically is just our biology just contradicting itself, because we're intelligent enough to know, and we have morals, and we're like, I don't want to do that, but there's this underlying drive that there's this novelty, and you're just like, oh, there's this new girl, she's hot, what's she got to offer, and it's hard to negotiate that. And I think like you'd have to be so stable and satisfied in your relationship to overlook that kind of stuff. Yeah. And there's always, honestly,
and sexually.
What's that?
And sexually, because like if you're not getting it from your partner,
no, exactly.
Men have needs, women have needs. Then that's an outlet that some men will take.
I know when I was at kind of like my worst in terms of like being broken in my last relationship anyway, there was a real lack of intimacy. I felt like I was getting rejected a lot. I felt like she wasn't interested at all. So I didn't feel attractive. And because I was so broken in a lot of other ways as well, I was looking outside of the relationship for that. And a lot of the time I never acted on it. But it was, there's always that thing, and it's always going to come up. I think with men, it's always there. It's just how much is it there, and
it fuels their ego too.
So it does.
Like when you're young, you're like, you're gonna sleep with the girl, like you got to make it good because they're gonna talk about me.
Yeah, that's right.
And I gotta have this standard.
To make sure I set the standard.
that I'm this good.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's every female is different also.
Yeah, that's right.
So like some get pleasure in other ways than other women.
Yeah, there's different ways.
So then if you can't make her finish, if you can't make her finish, then you're like, well, I'm not good enough. Or you want to go,
inadequate.
I'm inadequate. I'm the problem. And then you want to go where you're good at what you do, and you can please another woman. It's more satisfying.
That's right. And it's very easy to please someone in a sense if they're new, because it's exciting for both of you. It's novelty, the novelty's there. Yeah. But it will never compare to having an emotional connection with that person where both people feel safe.
Absolutely.
Because that's, I mean, the best way to get a woman off is to have her actually love you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely,
if she actually loves you, it's far more likely. And if you represent safety to her and you've never let her down and you show up for her all the time, those are the things that are going to actually get her there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys don't get that.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't get that.
I mean, guys who are just like almost inept in the bedroom, who don't know what they're doing at all, could probably still satisfy their partner.
100%.
If their partner was genuinely in love with them.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was going to say something else on that. But, I forgot.
You say what you need to, mate.
I forgot what it was.
It's all right, I might come back.
Yeah. Oh, I think, with women, this is just from experience. Like if they're in their mind as well, like then it's a lot of the times it's the woman feeling insecure, or she doesn't like her body, or doesn't want to, or something like that. And it's not the guy's fault. But
massive.
The guys will take that on board, like I'm doing something wrong, or she's had better in the past, or she could have better, or it's all my fault, and they get in their head, and then you're both in your head, and it's just
her self-worth in that situation is really fundamental to that as well. She needs to feel that you are super attracted to her, and that this is where the past can come up. The things like she's seen your exes, for example, that might really have an impact on her self-esteem. Absolutely. And I guess as a high-value male, you need to be there to reassure her in the right way, make her feel important, make sure that she feels understood in those emotions too.
That's it.
That you are there for her in this moment now. Yeah, that it has nothing to do with what's happened in the past, and you're just giving everything you've got to her. Yeah,
exactly. And I think, guys don't want to be rejected. So if we make a move and they're like, that's crushed. That crushes you.
I know, yeah.
Because whenever they make a move, we're always all for it.
Right.
That's attractive when they make the first move. They make a move.
I know. I know. It gets all that out of the way, eh?
Yeah.
You're just like, cool, this can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
always ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why do you think women cheat?
I think women cheat because they're not getting something. They're not getting that emotional attachment. They're not getting the emotional side of things.
Yeah.
So like they can't sit down and talk about their feelings, or they feel like they're not being listened to.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like if they're not getting, it goes both ways. But if you're not getting that, if you're getting 80% and you're getting that 20%, a lot of the times they'll go to somewhere where they're getting that 20%.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they like that.
Yeah.
But then they realize if they had have just communicated to the person that, hey, look, I'm not getting this 20%. I want to get this 20% from you.
Yeah.
They could get that 100, but now they're stuck with this 20% and not getting that 80%.
I think that's across the board. It's really people generally cheat because they've got unmet needs, whatever those needs are. Yeah. And half the time they might try and communicate that stuff to their partner, and their partner might not receive it. You know, when I was trying to communicate with my ex, she didn't really want to know about it. You know, when I was telling her that my needs weren't being met, she was just like, oh, this is, you know, your sex drive is not the same as mine, and you know, I could go once a month. You know, I don't need to go once a week or even. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, that's not anywhere near enough. You know, and if you're in love with someone and you want to be with them and you are with them, you know, intimacy should be a reasonably daily thing.
100%.
But yeah, I think women's reason for cheating, like you say, would probably be more lack of emotional connection as well. I mean, I'm not a woman, so I can't say for sure, but I think it's very unlikely they would leave someone who they feel emotionally connected to have physical intimacy with another guy, whereas men often feel emotionally connected to their partner, but still physically cheat.
100%.
You know?
But then they might not cheat physically, but they'll cheat emotionally. So they'll message some other guy, you know, and that's still cheating.
Yeah, that's right. You know? So that they want, if they don't have the safety, support, all that kind of stuff in their relationship, but they might be having sex once a day. Yeah. That's not enough for them, and so they may look at emotionally cheating. I agree. I think that that's probably, again, it's an opinion, but I think that there's probably higher rates of women emotionally cheating than physically cheating.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And there's probably higher rates of men physically cheating than emotionally cheating.
Definitely.
Just because of where each sex kind of like prioritizes what is important. I think the emotional connection is far more important.
Or feeding that attention that they might get on social media.
Yeah, that's right.
Someone might comment on something like, thank you.
Yeah,
like,
my boyfriend never says that.
Just don't message back. You know, like you don't have to do that. Yeah.
No, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so I want you to describe your version of typical toxic behavior in a woman. What do you think are some standard, like if you were to say, what are some toxic traits in a woman, or some traits that you would find toxic that are generally specific to women, what would they be to you?
I would say just shutting off.
Right.
Shutting off is a very toxic trait.
I think a lot of men do that.
Yeah, I mean, both ways again. They all go both ways, but just shutting off, or like if you're trying to have a conversation and you just end it and walk away.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
There's no solution.
Yeah, or leaving things.
Yep.
Leaving things on bad terms, going to bed angry.
Yep.
That's bad.
I mean, you're more than welcome. Like, I think everyone's within their rights to say, I need some space to think about this. You know, that would be okay.
Yeah.
But just being like, I'm not talking about this and just going, you know.
100%.
There's no communication there.
Or not being reasonable.
Yeah, that's
not
right.
Not being reasonable to understand. Or like gaslighting is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
He's
just a friend.
Yeah, or if something's happened, and then be like, oh, and then sort of acting upset, and then not following through as to what happened.
Yep.
I just told you earlier.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like that. You
That's
know,
right. Yeah.
Not. You know, because then the other person's worried.
Yeah.
And I think
sometimes they feed on that worry.
Yeah.
Too,
but as men, we're problem solvers because we wanna help them. We want to fix that.
Yep.
And women affect us so much.
Yeah, they do.
You know, like if they're not good, we're not. What for me? If they're not good, I'm not good.
No.
You know, if something's happened, I want to know so I can help.
Yeah.
And just leaving it. Don't worry about it, and then I'm worried. Like, what's happened? What can I do? And then just the unknown.
Yeah,
putting us men in that position is a very toxic trait. Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of female specific traits, or traits that are quite heavily. There are a lot of traits that are kind of like and predominantly in women. Things like. Flaunting their sexuality, knowing that they're doing it, you know, in a way. And I say this, women should be able to flaunt themselves like they really should, but there's a line that shouldn't be crossed, I guess, in a relationship to gain that attention. And often there's a lot of women that will use that to their advantage in their relationship to keep their partner interested.
Absolutely.
But it keeps them interested out of fear.
Absolutely.
And it builds, just like a male can do to a female as well. There's this lack of safety when that happens. You don't feel like you can rely on your partner. You don't feel like your partner is showing up for you.
Yeah.
She's showing up for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's tough. It's
like
really
those
tough.
like on putting on stories like selfies and like they're showing a little bit too much cleavage, a little bit too much skin.
There's a difference between being proud of how you look and then a thirst trap. There's like that line.
Difference between a video of you in the gym working out as a female compared to in a bikini looking sexy.
Yeah, even the video at the gym, if the phone's down on the ground looking up and you're doing like Romanian deadlifts or something.
Absolutely,
it's very much
from the side, not behind or underneath,
There's ways to do it. And I think that applies because men film themselves less. I mean, I don't. But you know what I mean? Like because men film themselves less, we don't have that issue as often. But yeah, I guess in those situations, those would be some of the ones that I can think of too.
And you generally know, like, if someone changes their profile photo to a certain type of photo, you know something's up.
Well, you know what they're looking.
They're not happy. They want attention. Yeah.
I remember there was a girl that I met years ago, and on her Facebook, when her and I became friends on there, I went to her photos and I scrolled through. And I was scrolling through all the photos. So, it's a grid of like 4 across and I'm going down and I'm just scrolling and it was like selfies, quotes, wedding photos, selfies, quotes, wedding photos. And I could see it in waves and I was okay, so this is where the relationship started to fail. Here's the quotes where she's like, she's upset and she's healing and whatever's going on, and then she's back into selfie mode where 100%. She's promoting herself again out there.
On the market.
And then it's back to married photos again. So she's obviously got back with her ex. And you can see this in a timeline. And you're just like, right, it really is how you're putting yourself out there on social media is dictating
big time
where you are at, in life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think true intimacy is built on?
I would say trust and open communication.
Yeah.
They're definitely be the top, and you can't have one without the other.
No,
because you can sort of trust someone, but if you can't express how you're feeling in an open, safe place, there's no intimacy there.
No,
I agree. Like if you can't try and understand why someone's feeling, because it's easy if you haven't been through it. So if someone's upset about something, and you haven't been through it, you can easily just say, "Oh, well, just don't think about it." It's so stupid. Like if I tell you don't think about purple elephant, what do you think? You think of a purple elephant, right?
That's right.
It's finding different ways.
I'm thinking about it now.
Exactly, right? How did they make that? But it's being able to being able to sort of understand, and even if you don't understand, just listen.
Yeah.
And I think as men, we always want to fix things, but sometimes we just need to shut up and listen, just hear them out, and just be like, and just be there.
Oh, it's so true.
Like, I'm so sorry, even though you have the answers,
you got the solution. It's easy.
Just hold it.
They don't want to hear it.
No, they're not ready to hear it yet. Yeah. I would say those.
I agree with you completely. I think trust. True intimacy is built on safety, but safety is built on trust and communication. Like if you have those two things, that person feels safe.
It's a triangle.
That's it. It is. 100%. Yeah. And that's. I'd love to actually look up from a psychological point of view, like what researchers have said it's built on. But 100%. I reckon it'll be along those lines. Like I reckon it would be similar.
Beautiful.
Okay, we talked about this a little bit earlier. But what does the word white knight mean to you?
White knight. Oh man.
How would
I guess it's kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing, right?
It is, yeah. It's that person that swoops in.
Yeah, like a really good actor.
Yeah.
You know, they're just waiting for their shot. And I always say like girls really shouldn't have guy mates, but they can. It all comes down to trust.
Yeah.
But I guess like 9 times out of 10, if that girl messaged them was like, hey, do you want to sleep with me? They'll be like, yeah.
100%.
You know?
They're normally the mate that's hanging in the wings,
Yeah, and I think women know this, but they act like they're oblivious to it. But that's pretty much what it would mean to me. It's sort of like they're just playing the long game. Yeah. Essentially.
And they've got some inside knowledge. They know the girl well enough to know what's important to her. They know the situation. They know that maybe the boyfriend's been treating her like shit for a while. And then they seize the moment when they have the chance to come in and say, I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah, well, they have that. If she's already reaching out to him and talking about the situation, like that's cheating.
Yeah, that's right.
First off, that's
like
cheating. That's cheating. That's cheating. But, if that's already happening, he can just sit back. He's got all his options. Yeah. She's just one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's just like, he knows exactly what to say.
He's probably white knighting multiple people.
Exactly. He's just playing the game. He's smooth, And then when the time arises, he's like, I got you. I
told you. I told you he was no good.
And then I'm, but I'm here. And then they do that. Yeah. Exactly, right?
No more tears.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so next question. And I've done this. I have been a white knight in the past. Have you ever done it?
Absolutely. Oh.
There's different ends of the spectrum too. I've never been an extreme white knight. I've never done it to a friend. I don't think I've even slept with. No, I might have. I've definitely been with acquaintances, exes, and things like that. But I would never swoop into someone's ex I respect or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I've never swooped in and broken it up.
No, and often white knights do.
Yeah. Not like that.
No.
Afterwards, yeah,
and there's been I think we've all done that. It's very hard, especially in a place like Christchurch, to avoid sleeping with, or if you're dating around. I'm sorry, not everyone is like that. But in my history anyway, if you are out dating and you're seeing multiple people or whatever, it's very hard to avoid someone who has been with someone you know.
Absolutely,
very hard.
Absolutely.
But I think if you're deliberately, like you said, breaking it up or contributing to the breakup or supporting that woman through her rocky period and / breakup, that's the full one.
Oh, no, I have. Yeah. I have. Thinking back.
Yeah.
When I was in Canada, I worked, and it was terrible. Like, I was working at a gym in Canada, and there was this little Argentinian thing. She was real cool.
Yeah.
And so I was personal training. She just worked behind the desk, and I noticed her. I was like, oh, she's cute, whatever. And then one time I was waiting for a client. Desk is here. I was just sitting at the chairs, and she was just like, I have to say sorry to you. I called you Ralph, and it just started from there. I was just like, because I was in Canada. I was from New Zealand. I was just like, I can do whatever I want here. No one knows me. I'm like, you what? Like, how dare you? I was just flirting, bit of flirting. And then we ended up like. Every time I wait for that client, I'll just end up just sitting with her, and we'll just talk. Yep. And it was all good. And then, one time she was just like, oh, maybe we should go talk in my car. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I just might not look the best. And I'm like, oh, that's fair enough. Like, we can go, because she had some shit and I had some shit. We would just like unload to each other, cheating. And then yeah, and then one thing led to another, and she was actually engaged to someone that she had been with for 7 years.
Obviously not happy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. And then she literally wanted me to leave my partner who I was with for her.
Right.
And I was like, wait, what? Like, she was dead set. And I was like, wow, like, there's no way. And then I was sort of just like, look, I don't even know if I'm going to be here in Canada. Like, I don't know, you just met me. This is like in the space of like 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I was just like, what?
That's a red flag, coming on that intense.
100%. I'm like, if you can just leave him, you've been with him for 7 years. Like, if that's not attractive. If you can quickly leave him for something that's new and improved and more fun, then and I just think she was getting that 20% from me, that or 30%, maybe 50%, that she wasn't giving 70%, that she wasn't getting from him. You know? But now I look back and, she ended up marrying that guy, and I'm like, man, how guilty must you feel? Yeah. You know? They have kids together and stuff. I'm like, damn.
And that happens a lot, I think. Yeah. How would you feel at that 7 year mark if you were in a relationship with her? You'd be thinking to yourself, fuck, this is when it happened.
Yeah. And I met the dude. Yeah. You know, and I shook his hand.
I know.
And I was like, bro, if you know where if you knew what I knew, you'd want to kill me.
I know. I remember when I was 23, I was working as a bouncer in a club in town, and there was a woman that was showing a bit of interest in me, and then she kept saying she was married, and I can't remember whether she had an engagement ring on or a wedding ring or anything on, but she hung around after that closed, and then she was like, her mates left, and she was like, I'll just stay here with you, and I was like, okay, and we had a drink and stuff there, and then she was like, could you drop me home? I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I dropped her home, and she's like, do you want to come in? And she was staying at her mate's place. But then when I went in there, she was like, she didn't have a bed there. And I ended up sleeping with her on the floor of the lounge. Of all things. And this is
sleeping.
And I remember thinking at the time, like, I was like, fuck, I am a piece of shit for doing this. And she was going on about how her husband hadn't touched her in 2 years and all this kind of stuff. And at the time I thought, well,
you're young. You're like, I can touch you.
Yeah, well, and that's I'm 23 and I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, if he's not touching with you, if he's not touching you, then someone has to. So okay,
I'm doing you a favor.
I'll do it. Yeah.
And justify it.
And then it wasn't until afterwards, that was my first lesson in that kind of situation where I was like, fuck, I'm a dog. I was like, what did I do that for? Like, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't do that. That goes against my morals long term.
I guess you're a homewrecker.
I guess that's how you learn. And she's probably, I don't know if she's still with him or not. I mean, she was 36, so she was my age. I am now. Wow. And I thought she was old. I was 33 thinking this old girl. And it's like, I think about it now, I'm like, oh, it's not that old.
But when you're young, you're like experienced.
That's right, and she didn't actually seem very experienced.
No, that's a shame. Yeah, that's a shame.
But it's... Yeah, I think a white knight is someone who capitalizes on those situations. Maybe not in that situation, but someone who knows what's going on and just makes the most of it. Yeah, really.
Yeah, dirty dogs.
Yeah. Do you think your desire to be intimate with your partner will always fade eventually?
I mean, I've only been in one relationship where it never faded.
Right.
So
and how long was that?
That would have been 3 years.
Shit, that's good.
Yeah, that was good. That like always. Like anytime they were naked, I'm like, damn, or anytime there was an opportunity, I'm jumping on that.
That's when you're properly emotionally invested in that person.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, man, this person is, every time I look at them, like I just like, and I notice when they're talking, I'm looking at their eyes, I'm like, man, I like this person. Yeah. And other times I've been with girls and they're talking, I'm just like, not even looking at them. So I guess it can fade. But sometimes it doesn't have to. I think that's a huge thing. Like people who say, "Oh, the honeymoon phase," like that never really has to end. No. And I've been in relationships where it's still been stressful, but I'm still attracted to that person, and I don't want to sleep with anyone else. No. That's a really good part of our relationship, and I'm still fully attracted to them. Yeah. But I think a lot of the times, sometimes it can fade, especially as guys. We want something fresh and new and something exciting. Yep. But that's not happiness. It's not. It's good in the moment. Yep. But it's not ultimately going to make you happy.
Your relationship should be built on more than just that physical intimacy. Exactly. But I think as long as both people have the similar realistic expectations on intimacy, it can be really intense at the start, and it can drop off a bit because it would.
100%.
Naturally, I think when you get to know someone, you first start seeing them, you've got this real if you're really into them, you've got this fascination with them that's, you know, more intense than it will be when it gets sustained. You know, and at that point, if both people are on the same page and it does decline slightly, that's okay. But there should still be a lot of real solid shit behind the background. In the background, holding that together.
Absolutely.
That means that you do look at them and you look at their eyes and
Definitely.
you're like, this person, I love them. You know,
it's 100%. You just look at them like, man, they're so amazing. You know, and I think also like even like being intimate with them isn't just about the physical being sex. Like if you can just sit with them and hang out and just be in their presence and be at peace.
That's a form of intimacy.
Exactly.
You know,
I think that's the best type of intimacy.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's so relaxing.
All the other heavy sexual stuff can come afterwards.
Exactly. And then back to the peaceful.
That's right. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's a balancing act. How does the concept of masculinity impact men's experiences with body image and self-esteem? Big question, eh?
It impacts it hugely.
Massive, eh?
Massive, yeah. I think, and again, this social media is the culprit. Like, you see all these dudes that come across, like, they got mean rigs, amazing bodies. They're doing well. And all you see is the good things. Like, you don't actually know what's going on.
No.
Like, you see a lot of these influencers, what's that guy, Joe Aesthetics, just died. You know, like, you know, that you don't know what else is going on in their life.
It's like Aziz, you know, from back in the day.
100%. 100%. You know, like all these problems that they actually have and they're not actually that happy, but they'll never show that. You know, it's like watching a movie and there's always a happy ending. Like, that's not life.
It's not real life.
I mean, it can be, but like very rarely.
There's multiple happy endings throughout your life.
Exactly.
You know, and they come from going through shit half the time. You know?
Exactly.
You just want to hope that one of them doesn't end your life.
That's it. That's it. And then, you don't want to always live in that constant fear of it happening. You want to be in the moment. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They're not in the moment.
No, that's right.
You know? But back to the subject. I think it really affects them, because I know of a lot of young guys that they see this and then they want to go to the gym. They're like, oh, like it's taking too long, and then they don't want to take steroids, and then some of the shit that they're taking, the amounts. Oh, I know. Like 2-3 mils of this, 2-3 mils of that.
Yeah, the pressure is huge.
It's terrible.
I know. Often it's just shit advice.
Yeah, and what they don't know is that they're going to feel great. For however long they're on, but when they come off, if they come off, they're screwed. Yeah, if they come. You know, if they don't do that correctly, then their testosterone is going to be low the rest of their life, and they're going to need TRT. They're going to be they're going to be messed up. They're going to have no sex drive. They're going to Yeah, that's right. The pressure's huge, and that concept of masculinity is that, like, it's changing as social media is there. It's basically we're seeing more and more jack dudes over in the States and Australia just promoting themselves with, you know, 100K, 200K followers, you know, big boys. And you're just like, okay, I don't know what that person's like as a person, but I want to look like that. Exactly. You know?
And if you don't look like that, you feel inferior. And you're aware of the fact that every other woman around there is aware of these guys and they know they exist. And so their standard of what is a masculine dude may be up there, and how the fuck do you compete with that?
Exactly. You know? Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been times where girls have been like, oh, this is my crush, and I'm like, yeah, fair. Like, other times I've been like, this is my crush. I'm like, I'm way better than that guy. Like, I'm not have as much money as him or be as famous as him. But I mean, I look way better with my top off than he does.
I know there's some dudes out there that you're just like, how do you find that guy attractive?
Exactly.
But everyone's different, I guess, like different tastes, and they prioritize different things too. So a lot of women, what's masculine is resources, you know, and for us, it's probably a balance of both. You know, it's you want to be physically appealing to a high standard, and then also you want to have the resources. Or
they're good at talking and they're funny.
That's right.
They can hold a conversation, they can make jokes, and man, if they can do that, like I know a lot of people, a lot of people that are not the best looking or the most in shape, but they're funny. There's
a question that I asked on the last interview I did with Tom, where I was like, would you rather be smart, attractive, or funny? And it's like, you know, those are the three things that often are if you're smart, it can be attractive. If you're funny, it can be attractive. If you're obviously physically attractive, it's attractive. But to some people, they'll prioritize one or the other. You know, and it's like funny people to some women are funny men, for example, are they just absolutely blow them away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can make a girl laugh, man. They'll remember you.
And they want to be around you too, because they have a good time.
That's it. Always be funny. But again, if you're smart, you can learn how to be funny.
How to be funny, and how to be physically attractive.
Exactly. You can learn that stuff.
I think both me and Tom agreed that smart would be the one to be.
100%.
It gives you more options down the track.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, next question. How do you think men experience and cope with rejection when dating or in relationships compared with women?
Whoa, I don't think they take it very well.
No, they don't.
I think it puts them off.
Yeah.
Because I think that first rejection, they're like, oh, I'm not hot shit. And then they sort of then they get in the head and second guess everything. I think rejection is a killer for men.
I think it can because there is that pressure for men to make the first move.
Yeah.
We have to get used to rejection from an early age.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like
we have to. Some men don't, and some men get quite aggressive, and it's typical when you see. You could ask almost any woman by the time they are 20. I would say they've experienced a guy who has come on either really nice or really strong or just whatever, and he's been rejected, and then he's turned fucking septic. And he's been like, "You're ugly anyway. You're a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I hit you up. Fucking, my mate said you're a slut."
Yeah, they're just hurting.
That is hurting. They're hurting. They're feeling rejected.
Yeah.
They're hurting, and women have to deal with that abuse, like fucking, from a very early age. I'd say there's boys doing that. I'm pretty sure there would be boys doing that from like 12, 13 onwards.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Even earlier. I'd say even in childhood.
Kids are acting way older than when we were kids. There's the stuff the kids are doing now.
Yeah.
It's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, the level of bullying. I've got a friend who's training to be a counsellor. She said that the level of bullying and the sexual stuff that's happening even at intermediate level, year 7 and 8 is getting really scary, like fucking scary.
That's bad, man.
Do you think men generally deal with it well, or do you think as a sex we have work to do?
Well, I think it varies from guy to guy. I think if you're a guy that does it often, obviously, tries often.
Yeah.
And, they're like, in the mindset, they're like, oh, it either will or it won't. But if you're a guy that sort of never really gets rejected, those first couple of rejections, they can be killer.
Yeah, that's right.
And kind of stop you from ever.
Yep.
From ever, even reading the room, reading the signs of a girl's into you. Right. They could stop you from seeing that because you're so scared of that rejection. So I think, a lot of work needs to go on, even if it's just talking about it. Like everything can be sort of not resolved by talking about it, but it can help.
Yeah.
And then sort of find ways to attack it next time, to either maybe learn to wait for the signs, or if you are going to go, just go into it knowing that, hey, there's a million fish in the sea, and another man's trash is another man's treasure. And vice versa for women. It
comes back to that self-worth, eh? If you have high self-worth, rejection's going to be tough, but it's manageable.
Yeah.
If you have low self-worth, then rejection's not going to be manageable.
Exactly.
And that's when you're going to take out how you're feeling on that woman.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that in my experience anyway, I didn't have very high self-worth until I was in my late 20s or probably even early 30s. And I never dealt with, I was never responded to women aggressively, but I know that rejection was painful as fuck when it happened. But I did put myself out there a lot more. So I was prone to being rejected, and I probably came across far more desperate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At that age too, because I was really looking for connection all the time.
Yeah.
And so obviously if you're putting yourself out there a lot, there's more chance that these girls are going to find out that that's what you do, and they're going to reject you more often.
Yeah.
It's going to come across desperate, so you're going to get rejected. You don't have that patience. You're not building. You're generally not focused on building a real connection with them.
Yeah.
So you're going to get rejected. You send a dick pic, you're going to get rejected.
100%.
Generally, I mean, I don't know why dudes do that, but if you send a dick pic first, as in that's the first thing you do.
Yeah.
I'd say you get rejected 99.9% of times.
100%.
I mean, I don't like your odds fishing with that.
I'd like to meet a guy that I worked for. Now we're happily married. Like, no, you're not.
Yeah. Like, has there ever been a dude that has worked for?
Yeah,
honestly, like,
oh man, I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it. Yeah,
it's not a good strategy. Obviously, if a girl sends us a nude, if a girl sent you a nude, first off, I don't think there's many dudes that would turn that down. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, if she's like, "Whoa," and as a guy, it's like, it's not a disgusting thing to say. It's actually probably what you
we like that.
We like that. We generally, you'd want to see that if you're attracted to the girl.
100%.
But if it's unsolicited, you'd be a bit suspicious. Like
100%.
I would be like, how many other dudes have just received this photo?
Yeah, you don't receive and be like, oh, that's my future wife. You know, like
that's right. I know. And you'd worry about how they were thinking effectively. Whereas if it's no exception for a male. If a male sends you an unsolicited dick pic, I would fucking block them immediately.
100%, right? Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know if you've ever done that.
Nah, well, I mean, I've had a guy send me a dick pic. That was weird. But again, played the card that he was like a friend.
Yeah.
To me and my buddy, actually, Melvin. We met them, we went to kick-ons, and we kind of thought it was a bit weird. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm bi and whatever. And then he's like, oh, like, what do you do? And I used to do this. Oh, do you have any photos? Do you have any photos you train? Like, this guy's kind of weird. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and it was all good. And then it was when we went overseas, I think when we came, it was when I was overseas, he sent me one and I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then when we came back, I think I was like, fucking this guy. And she was like, what? And I was like, well, when we were overseas, he sent a dick pic. She was like, what the fuck? And then we ended up seeing him in town. She went off with him and then, you know, it was all good.
Yeah.
And then he went up to the same tricks after we'd broken up. He's like, what are you doing tonight? Like, you should come out. I'm like, bro. Like,
is he a Christchurch boy?
Yeah.
I think I might know who that is.
Yeah. You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. I actually get hit on probably more often by men on social media than women 100%. As well. For some reason, I think they think I'm gay. Yeah. And I hope I don't come across that way.
Nah, man.
Maybe I do.
Nah.
But
we're just metro.
Yeah.
And Christchurch is very like, if you look after yourself, you're gay. You know? Yeah. Scucks ass, bro.
I actually had a couple of dudes that messaged me at different times and I called them both out for being predators. I was like,
fair.
Mate, the way you're talking to me is disgusting.
Yeah.
I hope you don't talk to other people like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, one dude was like, and I was nice to all of them, you know, one guy was like, he's like, have you got an OnlyFans? I'm like, no. And then he's like, okay, would you ever sell some of your sweaty undies? And I'll give you $50 more if you jack off into them. You know what I'm like?
Make it 5,000. Like,
bro, sorry, not my thing.
Yeah. You supply the underwear.
I'm not that desperate for money yet. But yeah, like you know what I mean? And I look at that and I'm like, you know, I've also had gay guys that have tried to hit on me that are very respectful. You know, and some of them are friends now. Like, you know, like I can have that back and forth kind of like banter with them where it's like flirting, but it's banter. And they know that. They know there's that boundary
100%, yeah.
But it's,
you might flirt back, but it's banter.
Like, you know, they might say something, and I might be like, you want
this, boy.
But that's because I'm comfortable with my sexuality.
That's it, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, and I've said this. It sounds really judgmental. It might come across wrong, but it's not intended that way. Having sex with a male to me would be like having sex with a very, very ugly woman that does not maintain herself or anything. Like it would be like, to me, it would just be so off-putting and so disgusting. I couldn't imagine doing it.
Yeah.
I don't feel any attraction at all to men.
No one.
But I can have that back and forth kind of banter because I'm a reasonable person.
For sure.
And I understand their position. And I also understand that it must be a minefield for gay men out there because
you don't know.
They don't know. They literally don't know if the guy that they're trying to get with is going to punch them in the face or turn them down or get with them. You know what I mean? It must be tough.
Absolutely.
So I at least, I always give them that understanding. But I've got no tolerance for predatory behaviour.
No, not at all.
Whether that's towards women or men.
Yeah.
You know, because...
And no means no.
No, that's right.
Even for men.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so how soon after getting into a relationship should you tell someone that you love them?
Good question. Good question. I think, man, I don't know. All I can say is from self-experience. It changes, you know, and when you know, but I think when you're young, you don't know. No. You know, you think you do.
Your definition of love will change as you get older.
100%. Yeah. So like, I think back then, back when I was younger, it was like, man, you really, really like someone, so you love them. Yeah. You know, you really, really like someone.
It's almost like a word you're just waiting to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really like this person. I want to let them know how much I like them.
It's the pinnacle of how you can express your feelings for someone, you know? Yeah. And I think now being older, when I say it, I'm saying it because I want to have a future with you. Yeah. You know, I want to do life with you. Yeah. You know, it's a
different. Declaration.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's right. You know, it's a big deal. Yeah. But in a time frame, it's tough. I think you can say it, but I don't know you can really understand and mean it or you have to go. It's like having a best friend.
Yeah.
Like you have to go through experiences with them for them to be your best friend.
Yeah, that's so true.
So same in a relationship with someone, you have to go through experiences.
Yeah.
You have to. It can't all be good and then you love someone. You have to go through some shit times.
You've got to earn it.
Yeah, you got to go through them.
Yeah.
You got to go. It's got to be bad, and you guys have to both come out, see the light at the end of the tunnel, and get through that, and know that you can handle tough situations.
That's right.
And when you know that you can do that,
yeah.
So I think it all depends on experiences.
Yeah, it's funny how that made me think, because my definition of love, and we've talked about this, is, and I got this from my ex, and I honestly, it changed my mind on a lot of things when I heard this. She said to me that she knows she loves me because she wants me to be happy whether she's with me or not. But that's actually not enough. So if I date anyone, I want them to be happy whether they're with me or not from the start.
100%.
But I don't love them.
Yeah.
But I think it's a combination of that and what you said, where it's like, I want to be with this person. I want to give everything to this person.
Yeah.
They are my everything.
Yeah.
And I also, on the other hand, want them to be happy whether they choose to be with me or not.
100%.
And that's basically saying, if I was a bad thing in your life, I would leave because of how much I love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I do want you to be my everything.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. It's like a combination of the two things.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
I think even sometimes you can, if you're dating and like circumstances change and it can't work and you let it go, but for some reason that you find each other again, and the feeling's still there, that's cool. If you can let something go and it comes back, then it's meant to be.
Absolutely.
It's in so many songs. So it has to be
There's
true.
a reason that it's in the songs.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think, if you can, take a break, take that time out, and then you can rekindle that, that's something really, really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Okay, do you believe that men and women can be only friends with the opposite sex? What does that depend on?
I think, it's a tough question. I think it comes down to, like, if they're in a relationship with someone already or just in general? I
think just in general, because, and I'll get to what I think, but I'll see what you think.
Yeah, I believe they can, because, I have female friends, but a lot of them are either married or in a relationship that I've either gone to school with, or they are like seeing one of my friends, or something like that. But I would still consider them an acquaintance. Like recently, when I went up to Wellington, I saw a friend that I went to school with, and we caught up. It was so good to catch up, like what's been happening since school to now. And she was still with the same guy that she was with when she was in the military. And we chatted, and then the following week went up and caught up with them, and it was so cool. It was so cool. And we were just talking about everything and anything. Her partner was lovely, and they looked after me. I went and met the rugby league team, the community that they have, and that was really special. Cool. That was really cool. I think if the relationship started as friends and there was no interest, no sexual interest, then I think they can be friends. But I think coming from, if you're in a relationship standpoint, I don't think it's necessary to make opposite sex friends while you're in a relationship.
I agree. I think it really depends on where you were at when you started becoming friends and things. It's a bit of a touchy thing, but I believe that the ground rule is it's very hard for men to be friends with a woman that they find attractive.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're super attracted to someone, it's going to change how you interact with them. Whether you like it or not, you can't switch that off.
Exactly.
And if that's happening while you're in a relationship with someone else, that's a very dangerous situation. If you've got sexual history with the person that you're friends with,
absolutely not.
It's possible, but it's if you're in a relationship and you're not attracted to that person anymore, it's possible only if it's actually cleared with your partner.
Absolutely.
As in, that person would have to meet your partner and be all good with it. And I mean, seriously all good. And you would have to provide enough reassurance and enough reason to be friends with them.
Absolutely.
To the partner to actually justify it. And then I guess it's up to your partner whether they are the type of person that can trust that situation.
It's all up to the trust and relationship.
And you've got to be able to communicate that well. The trust has to be there. and you've got to be willing to make a decision either way. Am I going to, reduce contact with or cut ties with this friend for this relationship?
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone should ever be put in that position where they have to cut off a friend for a relationship. Certainly not a new relationship. Because me moving forward, if I meet anyone new, I would want them to know that I would want them to be supportive of my friendships, because my friendships with my female friends are actually very important to me. I think, especially when I got out of my last relationship and I met lots of people, and some of them I dated, some of those people are very important to me now. They almost balance out the other half of the coin, and they're a woman that I can go to. They're a woman that I can go to talk about issues that I might be having or situations that are troubling me or whatever, and I can get a female perspective that's unbiased, because I know that there's no other intention behind it. We've clarified our position as friends. It's just where we're at. And I really value that.
100%.
And I would hope that whoever I dated from here, if I was in a committed, very serious relationship down the track, that if one of those friends rang me and she was like, my boyfriend just beat me up, I have nowhere to go, could I come and stay with you for a couple of days?
Absolutely.
That I can say to my partner, this is what she's asked, and my partner's like, get her around here straight away. And that, whoever I was dating already made a bed up for her and had like a hot water bottle or something in the bed,
that's it.
and greeted her at the door and was like, baby, you all right? I hope you're okay. And that
so secure.
she was there showing up for me with my friend. You know what I mean? And that you could have that kind of relationship. I think that's, you should be able to have that understanding from your partner, but she should know that your friendships are just that.
Sure.
And that they will just be that. Regardless of past history with that person. I think
for sure.
It's going to be tough for a lot of people, and I don't pretend that is going to be an easy thing to deal with. But it's the kind of standard that I would want to set in a relationship, that I have that much trust and that much communication. Obviously, it would be different if that person was into me.
Definitely.
And at that point, I'd be saying, I don't think it's appropriate that you come and stay here, because I know how you feel about me.
That's it.
And it's going to put my partner in a really shit position.
Exactly.
But that's where it's a man's job, a male job to do that. Now, I don't know about the other way around, but I know that a lot of women do have male friends, and I think a lot of those male friends are into them.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
White knights.
The white knights, they're all just waiting in the ranks, and I think it's good, but it's going to be a minefield for those women, because they don't know when that text is coming. I saw a meme the other day, and it was like, when you get that text message from your 7-year-old friend, your friend of 7 years, and he's like, hey, so can I ask you something?
Yes.
Like, where this is going.
100%.
It's tough. It's just going to come down to whether that person's really attracted to you or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like, but if you're friends with this person and then you get into a relationship, I don't think it depends, but I don't think you should have to go to that friend for her perspective anymore. If you already have this partner that you're good with, you shouldn't need to go to any other female. No, if you have this one here, depending on what it's about.
It depends what it's about. Like one of my close friends now, she's studying to be a counsellor. And with me, with the career path that I'm taking, I really value her opinion on so much.
For sure.
Like, and I when I meet up with her,
the podcast.
And I will. But like, I really value her opinion, and I've got other female friends that I really value their opinions on certain things. That doesn't mean they're going to come stay with me. But it just means I might get a coffee with them every now and then. And chat about those things
that they're knowledgeable in.
And that's what our friendship is built on. And I would like to think that if they were going through something tough and they wanted a male's perspective, that they could come to me, and that I was an asset to them in that way. That they're like, actually, I want to know
if
what
they're
Josh
dating
thinks.
or if they're in a relationship.
Either or. Like I wouldn't cross lines with them anyway. So like if they were in a relationship with a dude, and she's like, he's treating me like this, I don't know what to do. I would be like, well, you need to, this is what I think you should do, but you also need to be respectful to him, and make sure you tell him that you've talked to me.
For sure.
These kind of things, I'd encourage that.
I also feel...
Actually, that might not be.
I also feel that would be annoying, because a lot of the times I feel like if you have a problem in the relationship, you two need to work it out, not go talk to such and such about it and such about it, because not everyone's going to have an unbiased opinion. Someone's going to say this thing, and even though you might not agree, that seed's going to be planted.
That's totally right.
And then you're going to go into this conversation with your partner, having this ammo from what you've been told. You might not necessarily say, oh, well, such and such said this. But if that does happen, such and such said this, and you're like, fuck such and such. What does it have to do with us?
I know, that's a good point, actually.
Going outside the relationship. So,
especially from a male perspective.
Especially from a male perspective, yeah.
Imagine if a woman came to me and said, he said this, and then she goes back and says, Josh says, and he'd be like, who the
imagine if that happened to us.
I know, yeah, true.
Yeah,
And it did
infuriating.
with one of my exes, and I'm not into, look, I'm very scientific, and so I'm all about what can be measured, right? And so I have there's enough wonder in the universe for me to be satisfied with where I am in life. But for a lot of people, they want to know that there's a lot of people that believe in like the supernatural and all that kind of stuff. I love star signs and things like that. I love astrology. But when I was going through a really rough time with one of my exes, I had just had 2 6-hour days of being tattooed. 6 hours and then 6 hours the next. Yeah. I got home from one of those 6-hour appointments, the second one, and I got home and my partner said she'd just had a psychic reading from this dude who was her or younger than her, who was definitely into her, and he had said that I'm the problem in her relationship and all this kind of shit, and I just absolutely fucking flipped. Wow, yeah. Obviously because I'd been being traumatized for 6 hours, but I also was just like, who the fuck is this cunt to tell her, and she's lapping this up because it's the psychic reading that she's had. She's like, he said that this and that, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, how dare that cunt say that shit?
Exactly.
Just get in her head, whatever it was. And I'm not saying he wasn't psychic, I don't know, but I'm just saying it felt real disrespectful, the fact that she was even coming at me with that. And I'm not trying to say that was a healthy relationship, because it really wasn't. Yeah. But that was a friend of hers who was definitely into her. Yeah. Who was trying to destabilize my relationship with her, basically. So I think things like that are an absolute no-go.
And I think even talking, because if I'm if I'm having relationship issues or anything, I'll go to my mum.
Yep, same.
I'll go to my cousin. I'll go to one of my buddies, Jackson, because they're in happy relationships. Yeah, I'm not going to go to someone who's not in a happy relationship.
No, that's right.
Like, because I'm like, well, what advice can you give me? Yeah, obviously doesn't work for you, type thing.
That's right.
Unless you're one of those people that gives really good advice and doesn't live by it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Like I'll come to my close friends. I'll come to you,
people
Melvin
you trust.
Jackson, people I trust. And give good advice. But then when so-called partner or whatever goes to someone else who is literally just blowing smoke up their ass and telling them what they want to hear, or has no idea, or is way younger than them, or just has no life experience, I'm like, why would you listen to what they have to say? They don't even know the full story. Did you even tell them the full story? Like, they don't know. Yeah. They don't know anything. No. Like, why would you, such and such said this? What? Like, who cares?
Yeah, that's when those friendships are destructive, and it's really going to come down to the person in the friendship to identify that. It's really hard for us as their partner to say to them, I don't think that friend is good for you, because they're going to, you know what I mean? They're going to go.
You can't say that.
I've been friends with him for X amount of years, and it's like, well, he's been white knighting you for a long time. I can see that because I'm a male. I can recognize that stuff.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to, you got to make sure that conversation is constructive. Yeah. But at the same time, you could be doing everything right, and he's sowing seeds of insecurity in her mind every time they talk.
Yeah, or even like another girl. Yeah, yeah. That she
might have been hurt.
Yeah,
previously,
and just
she might have a problem with you.
Yeah, and just literally has no idea. Yeah, hasn't had the experience to be able to have a valid input in the relationship.
That input definitely needs to be valid.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think is important for a man to consider when approaching a woman?
I think that when approaching a woman, I mean, always time and a place. It's got to be the right place, the right time. It could be at a bar, but not when you're drunk. Depending, I guess. Like it would be, in my mind, I feel like you're never gonna meet that right person at a bar after midnight. No. But if it's like at a restaurant or like a cafe or something, and it's just like, or you bump into someman,
or like an activity that you're doing,
an activity. It's more again. It comes back to being it's more organic, more natural. I feel like you just have to be aware of the timings. And obviously read the room. Like, how do they look like? What's their body language like?
Yeah,
do they look
like
angry?
They want you to talk to them.
They look like they want someone to talk to right now.
Yeah.
Like obviously girls at the gym, not a lot of time they don't want you to talk to them.
No, that's right.
You know, and if they're out with their girls, they might just want to have fun with their girls.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Yeah, it's easy for guys to, as we go out in groups, and often in kind of a predatory way.
Right?
We're out there to
but
pick
when
up,
you're young, you're like, we're gonna,
absolutely. Yeah, the boys
we're gonna get into
town.
a fight, or we're gonna get into some girls.
Yeah, that's right.
One or the other.
And I think, women can go out with a completely different mindset where, you know, if you asked men, would you bother going to the club if it was just all men in the world?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them might be like, no. Whereas groups of women would probably go out for a dance, even if there were no men.
100%,
you know what I mean? Like they enjoy it. They seem to, and this is what like my experience with, being a bouncer and things, and you'd be the same. You know, you've seen groups of girls that go out and they are there to have fun with the girls.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily there to be hit on.
No.
Often, a lot of them are, there could be a group of all married women that are out to have fun in that place.
Yeah.
It's not often that you see guys doing the same thing.
No.
Really.
Absolutely not.
So you've got to, like you say, you've got to read the room and you've got to be, you've got to think, is this group, do they seem like they want to be approached? Is that girl, have I got something on my teeth, or is that woman, has she been looking at me, 4 or 5 times in the last 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I should go and talk to her, or maybe I should like try and line myself up to be at the bar when she's at the bar or something like that. It's, I agree. I think it comes down to reading the room.
That's it. Take your time.
That's right. Patience.
Take the time. Patience is a virtue, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Patience. Yeah, don't just rush in.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think is important to find out on a first date? Say 3 things. So I guess the most important thing.
Yeah.
I guess we talked about one of them was how they treat people, like how they treat the waiter, or
how they treat people. I guess their outlook on life, what they value.
Yeah. 3 things isn't much, eh? Like you really need to find out so much.
No, I mean, I guess what they really value.
Yeah.
How respectful they are.
Yeah.
And I think, what do I value if I'm meeting someone? I value confidence. So like if they can make eye contact with me while they're talking to me, if they can hold a conversation, that's definitely.
Yeah, it shows that they're listening.
Absolutely.
They're willing to listen.
Yeah.
And they're willing to engage with you. Yeah. And they're active.
To follow up questions on something, or if they're not sure, ask instead of like, oh yeah. Or don't ask like if you ask them a question, just don't have a closed-ended answer.
No. Yeah, open-ended.
Keep it open.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, I think I'd want to find out family values, like, what kind of family they came from, or how they, some people come from broken families, but they're really good people.
Good.
So I guess I'd want to know what kind of upbringing they had, so that I could either support them or understand that they're going to be a balanced person. I would want to know that that they're attentive, that they listen and they're willing to listen. They're also willing to give back and like tell me, be vulnerable as well. I'd look for confidence as well. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think I'd look at the way they treated people. I think those things are really important. I don't think you need to find out things like, do you want kids and that on the first date, or do you want to get married, or that stuff can come later.
No.
It's not that stage. No. Like that stage is really just, are we going to get on? Yeah. Really, and is there chemistry here? Yeah,
for sure. I think views on life too, because I've in the past, views on life have definitely altered the relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
So like simple things like how the world is, and conspiracy theories and things like that. That like would change things. Letting that like upset your day. Yeah. And like your mindset, and then sort of to be like, you should be careful with your kids because this is going to happen. It's like,
I'd be worried that's going to get pushed on me. Eh?
Yeah, And it did, because they cut friends off because they weren't supportive. Right. And I'm like, they can support you in other ways just because they don't have the same view as you. Yeah. They'll still support you. You know, like if you hurt yourself and you're in hospital, they'll come to you and support you and help you out.
They may not agree with everything you say. Exactly. But they're still there for you.
Yeah. So that was, that can be a huge game changer.
Yep. Yeah, I realised, late into my last significant relationship, her and I didn't have a lot in common when it came to like common taste and things. We didn't see the world the same. And for me, like I said, I'm scientific. I'm very curious. I want to know what's happening. How people think. I want to know like what things are made of. I want to know like how things came to be. I do all sorts of like study in my own time on that kind of stuff. And to be with someone who doesn't question anything they see in front of them at all was really hard. Like I was like, I'd hear about some new theory that had come up with overseas, and it would be something to do with like, I remember reading something about like, is life a simulation? You know, that we could all be inside this in a computer, and you're like, fuck, that sounds outrageous. But at the same time, it's possible. And then you think to yourself, oh, well, scientists think it's possible, at least. People like Elon Musk think it's possible. And then you're like, okay, then I talked to her about it, and she's just like, that's fucking ridiculous. That's stupid. I don't know why you think about that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, okay, this is where we're very different.
Open-minded,
like, very different. And I think
it's interesting.
I know. But to some people, it's not. Like, and fair enough. Like, not everyone has to think that way, but to some people, they're happy to sit, like waking up every morning, dealing with what's in front of them, going to bed at the end of the night. And for me, I always wonder if there's more. I wonder what else is going on. And it doesn't affect me negatively. I'm not stressed by it. But it's just my nature.
Yeah, it's when things like that affect people. Like, this apple's not organic, and I can't eat non-organic. Like if you actually knew the science behind it, but okay. It's whatever. Like it's okay, you can eat it. Like, doesn't this taste better? So it's like, nah, it tastes like an apple.
I think it may just be a difference between people who are scientifically minded and people who aren't. For me, that's quite an important thing. I'd want to be with someone who finds that kind of stuff interesting. I guess just even thinking about it interesting.
For sure.
Because you can't have a discussion on the things that you're passionate about if the other person doesn't care about that stuff or is against it, for example, even against that way of thinking.
I think another thing is also like they're hard on their soul. So like if you can see that, because I know recently with the girl now, like seeing her watch like a sad video of stuff that's happening in the world, like it literally breaks their heart. So for her to get upset about seeing that, I'm like, man, you're such a beautiful person. Like, you know, to see them, like, man, the world's such a terrible place, and all these things are happening, and it makes you feel sad, because a lot of people just look at it like, yeah, it sucks to suck. But like, I'm good. So
that's a really important thing.
Very compassionate.
I look for that as well, compassionate people. There's one person in particular that I know who's very like that, and I have so much time for her. Like, she's just, you can just tell she has the most pure soul. You know?
That's it. I love that.
Absolutely. Okay, last few questions. This last one's a bit more social. So, do you think it's better to have many friends or a smaller circle?
Oh, small circle, always.
Definitely,
100%.
And I swear, as you get older, you want a smaller and smaller circle.
When you're younger, you think you're cool having lots of friends. But man, you soon find out when you get older who's really there for you.
Your friends.
Who shows up.
That's right.
And why do they show up when they show up? Do they show up when you're not good? Or do they show up when you're only doing good, or they want something from you? You know, and you find that out pretty quick. It's
like a big filter, isn't it? They just get filtered through eventually, and the ones that sit on the top are the ones that you're just like, wow.
Exactly.
And I've met some people just even in the last 4 years that I'm just like, this is going to be someone who's going to be my groomsman at my wedding.
That's it, right?
I mean? And then there's other people that I thought would be there. That, you know, I've got some very long-standing friends who I'd definitely invite to my wedding. But, and that's the way I think about it. I don't know why, but I was thinking about,
think about it.
Like, you know, if I was at my wedding, who are the 3 or 4 most important people to me? There's people who would come, there's people who would be in that group, and there's people who would not make it onto the invite list. And I feel like, you know, there's some people that I have known my whole life that, you know, would be in that groomsman, and then there's other people that, you know, I've only met in the last few years, and I'm like, I know that I can count on you with my life.
Just know. Well, I think I look at it like, I've met too, when I went to Canada, I met a couple guys, four guys, and they're just, bro, you just know. They're just beautiful. And then the way I look at it is, would I die for them?
That's right.
Would I take a bullet? Would I take a bullet for them? I'm like, 100% I would. You know? And then others are like, if I think about it, I'm like, nah, I probably wouldn't.
No way.
I have to think about it, but if I know, I'm like, yeah, I would. 100%. They're a good person. They'll do that, and I know that they would do the same for me. You know?
Like, so is this person someone that, if the world was falling apart and I was about to die, could I give my son to them?
Exactly.
So can you look after him? You know?
Role model.
That's right. Okay, cool. That's the end of all the questions that are kind of like for both of us. But I've got a couple more questions for you, Ref. If someone wants to contact you for training advice or to book in with you, what's the best way to do that?
They can either hit me up on the website, the Gallery Gym. They has a website.
So that's the Gallery Gym in Christchurch.
The Gallery Gym in Christchurch. Or they can message me on Instagram.
Okay. I'll put your social handle in the description for the podcast.
Otherwise, well, Instagram, Facebook, both are good options.
Cool.
You can leave my number on there too.
Okay, so, sweet. I'll do that. What do you think the world will look like in 5 years?
What I think the world will look like in 5 years. That's a good question. I think that it will be very similar, just the extremes will be a lot more.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot more, I think there'll be a lot more poverty, a lot more natural disasters.
Yeah.
A lot more rich people.
I agree.
A lot more people benefiting and a lot of people not benefiting.
Yeah, that gap's going to get bigger, eh?
I don't feel like there's going to be, I feel like the gap's going to be bigger. So less sort of middle ground and more towards one end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to get more amplified, everything,
yeah,
eh?
Absolutely. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
With all the inflations and prices of everything going up, it's crazy.
It's going to get unsustainable, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Be more patient.
Yeah.
Be more patient and take opportunities.
Right. Yeah. That's good advice.
And to follow through.
Yeah.
Follow through with everything you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't just half-ass shit.
That's real good advice.
Follow through. Finish things.
Cool. Yeah, that's really good. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Probably just being there, just showing up for the people that I care about.
Yep.
And just loving and caring for the people that are important to me.
Yep.
And being an amazing dad.
Yeah. I think those are all healthy things.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add before we go? Anything you'd like to say?
Oh man, I mean, it's been a pleasure being on here with you.
You too, man.
Yeah, it's been real cool. Just flowed well.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good thing that you're doing. Cool. And I think
thanks, man.
The more you do it, the more people you reach out to, and all the different angles that you get, it's just gonna be so cool, man. Even to people to watch, hopefully it goes viral and the whole world can see this.
Yeah.
Because I think it's different. Everyone watches sort of things on Instagram, but it's all sort of a lot of it's based in like America, and if it's coming more from here, it hits home a lot harder, and I think more people can relate. Yeah. So I think,
that's powerful, man. Thank you.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been really good, and I think as it's evolving, I'm working out kind of like what I want to do with it, and I feel like the overall topic of the show is really going to be share my life experience, share the life experience of the people that are important to me, and then also just cover the topics that everyone's thinking about but no one talks about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's almost like writing a book about your life, but just doing podcasts and talking to people about it.
Yeah, that's right. It's a bit of a diary.
Yeah, because I guess people, like a lot of people don't want to read a book, but they'll listen to this.
They'll listen to a story.
They can just listen to it. It's like an audio book or something, but then they can see us. So they can see the emotion behind it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's real cool.
Oh, thanks for coming on, man. I've really appreciated it, and we'll stay in touch. Thanks, man.
Beautiful.